Hello and welcome back to the Scoop with Coop. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting to a YouTube video, all credit to House of Highlights, and it is one LeBron James fan versus 10 LeBron James haters. And so I just want to react to the video and see any nasty discourse that takes place and overall react to it. So let's begin.
First topic, no one will break LeBron James' scoring record.
I know you're finna say some shit you do not believe.
All right. I mean, I guess it is more likely that someone does end up breaking LeBron's scoring record than it not, just because of the theological. Something's more likely to happen than for it never to happen. But it's such a difficult record to break, and it's going to be so long, I think, at least, until we see someone break it, to where I think it's a very safe bet to say in the next 20 years we won't see someone break it, because obviously someone inevitably will, just because of the commercialization of sports becoming more popular, and if more games get added, and if we're looking at the playoffs, a guy who's able to make the playoffs every single year and go to the finals every year and just continue to dominate. But I think it will be extremely difficult because LeBron has never really missed a full season due to injuries, which is something that even the best stars do, because the next closest player in the NBA in terms of points to getting LeBron's all-time scoring record is Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant has missed a full season because of injuries, and he's missed a ton of time throughout the course of his career, that it's really difficult for someone to be able to play as long as LeBron has and not be able to fall off due to their age or injuries, like LeBron has been able to continue his greatness. So I think it is possible, but it's so improbable that within the next 20 years, which is what I'm going to base it on, because obviously, who knows? But I think it's within a reasonable amount of time, we won't see that record be broken. So now I just want to listen and see what points are going to be brought up.
I believe all of it.
Show him some respect.
Somebody is going to break LeBron's all-time scoring record. You think that just because he's doing it now, nobody's going to come after him and break him. That's what we thought about Kareem. And then guess what? Somebody broke it. Every single year, the NBA is becoming more efficient. It's getting easier for teams to score. Teams are getting smarter. All players are coming up and are learning 3 is more than 2. And so the way that people are learning how to play basketball is inherently more efficient. So people are going to come through. There's some middle schooler right now that's taking 30 footers who's going to show up, and he's going to break LeBron's scoring record. You don't think it's going to happen, but it probably.
Well, I guess is there going to be a limit to the efficiency that we'll see? Because obviously LeBron has been a very efficient player throughout the course of his career, and up until now, up until about 5 or so years ago, LeBron was a pretty good shooter. Now LeBron is a great shooter, and so it's not even as though you have a guy like Shaq where he just can't shoot. That's not the case for LeBron, and so I think it's going to be a while before we see that, but I think obviously there's going to be a limit to the innovation, and obviously there's new trends that come with each era. Whereas in the 70s, it was a lot more slower pace and looking for good shots. In the 90s, it was a lot more focused on individual players. And then in the 2000s, it was more extremely slow pace and trying to get inside, get to the post, and put up a layup there. And around the 2010s, that's where you start to see the three-point revolution take place. And so I don't know if we'll keep having more and more creativity and more of a philosophical shift around how the game is played. So I don't know if there will be this continual change or if we'll just sort of stagnate. So I think that to act as though it's going to happen is something that is a bit disingenuous of an argument to make, but I think you can make that argument. It's not a blasphemous or ridiculous take to say that.
Probably will.
Yeah. And again, if the argument is for the entirety of space and time, something is more likely to happen than never, sure, that's not really refutable. But if we're being practical and we're talking about what you can actually envision based on something you see and you predict, there's no real reason to think that other than hope. We can say that, 3 is more than 2 and the game has made this much of a change in the last 20 years. Maybe it'll make that same change 20 more years. It's not really linear. There's only so much pushing of the envelope you can do. And while we've seen that huge envelope push happen in our time, that's not a guarantee that we're going to see another one. There's only so much space on the court, so much more math you can exploit. So I think maybe we're close to peak efficiency. If we're not, and it keeps going up, fine. But you still have to reckon with the fact that somebody has to come in the league, be amazing right away, and be amazing for like 25 years without ever missing a full season of injury. The closest one is like Kevin Durant. He's missed several full seasons with injury because it's honestly, he's hilariously lucky to never have torn an ACL in 25 years. Do you expect the next great star, who's a great star from 19, to be hilariously lucky for 25 years? I wouldn't. Yeah.
So not only I agree entirely with this point, but not only do you have to be a great star, you have to be great, but you have to be on a team that's bad, so that way you'll have the opportunity to just take as many shots as you'd like and sort of become a system instead of being a part of one. So I think not only would you have to be great from day one, you have to play until you're 40. And on top of that, you have to be able to have the opportunity, and you can't get injured. And if we're including playoff points where LeBron is at over, I believe, 50,000, which is insane, you have to make it to the finals for so many years, and you can't really have bad individual years. You have to keep being great over and over, year after year. And so it is incredibly difficult to break LeBron's record, because not only was Kareem's record thought of as unbreakable and that it's one of the most difficult ones to break, but LeBron is continually adding on to it. And if LeBron does end up choosing that he wants to play for another 3 more years I'm assuming a good level because of how he takes care of his body and how he mentally and physically prepares, you have to add on to that total with the projections that he could have. And I'm just being modest with 3 years. If he wants to play until he physically can't, and he's not one of the best 400 athletes in the NBA, he could play even longer than that. So, adding on to what was already thought of to be an unbreakable record and then continually adding on to it is just making it such a difficult thing that I don't know if we'll ever see that record get broken.
Yeah, maybe he's cheating. I don't know. But you better hope the next GOAT cheats too then, because I don't see any reason why that's going to happen or any reason to expect that.
Listen, if you want to talk about that, the way that the game is being played, that's getting better. That's being more efficient. You want to talk about medicine, that's getting better. That's more efficient. Everything is being set up for players. Everything is being set up for players to come in bigger, better, faster, stronger, which is what you say about every single generation afterwards. You may not think that it's going to be some massive explosion to where in 5 years we're going to instantly get the next GOAT. Basketball is going to be played for a long time. And the incremental differences, eventually we're going to get to 2055 and there's going to be some crazy kid and he's going to come along and be the next GOAT. He's going to.
Okay, so we're looking 30 years down the line. Okay, I guess you can say that, but again, it's going to be such a difficult thing. And we're going to have to assume that the NBA goes back to where it was in the 60s, where you would have all of this pace. You'd have all of these possessions. And that's how you can get guys like Wilt Chamberlain who are able to put up 100 points in a game and 50 points on average in a season. So not only would we need not only would the NBA need the highest pace that it has seen since MLK was around, but then it would need to keep staying at that level for 20 years. It's the more and more I'm talking about, the more and more it's like, yeah, no one's breaking this record.
Break LeBron's record.
If the record's broken in 29-9 when we're all long gone, then you got it. You can have it.
I'm a win.
From the grave.
All right, I got a lot to say, but first off,
costume change?
Hot in here.
Got a costume change? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, LeBron relied a lot on athleticism to go score all those.
Don't diss on the hairline, bro. He hasn't made it to Turkey yet, dude. Don't diss on it.
Points. We have players now like Luka who score like 30 points a night consistently without relying a lot on athleticism.
Are you serious right now? Luka Doncic is not built like me. We're just totally unathletic. Luka Doncic is one of the great players at not only being able to stop on a dime and continue to shift your weight, but he's also athletic. Everyone in the NBA is athletic. No one there is like Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars and is just unable to move and function. To make it to the NBA, you have to be a top 0.1% athlete. Obviously, LeBron uses his athleticism. But once that starts to go, You have to be technically skilled to do that, and LeBron James is that. And even then, LeBron is still a pretty athletic player. Obviously, he's not the same tier of athlete he was, because that was top 5 athletes just ever in terms of his size, strength, speed, stamina, overall. I would include intelligence in that as well. But no, Luka Doncic is athletic, and this is a LeBron conversation, not about Luka Doncic. Like, are you Nico Harrison who just thinks Luka Doncic is just eating Big Macs all day in the Bahamas and chilling and picking up a basketball only to play? Like,
and like this era too, you're shooting a lot more 3-pointers than ever before. So in what world would I not think someone who's taking more 3-pointers, scores 30 points a game at the age of 19 is?
How many 19-year-olds have averaged 30 points in a season? Not many. Not many, except for, Wilt Chamberlain. Michael Jordan didn't get to 30, and he didn't even come into the league when he was 19. So not only do you have to be great in college and be a top pick, but again, we've already been over this. This is goofy. And LeBron is also top 10 in threes all time, so it's not like he's just completely avoiding the three-point line. He's top 10 all time in threes and will retire probably.
Record. It sounds kind of ridiculous.
If he keeps going inside the top 5, possibly.
Okay, well, obviously relying on athleticism isn't true. We know he's extremely skilled, but I'll let you have that. Because the truth is, you need athleticism, especially as you age. All these guys that rely on skill, eventually you have a little bit of athleticism that lets you make that skill happen.
Yeah, I mean, what happened with Kemba Walker? He may have been a shorter point guard, but any small detail that you can have matters in regards to athleticism. This is stupid.
When that goes, it goes fast. That's what you talk about. A lot of small point guards end up, aging not super good, because as soon as they lose that little edge they have that lets them use the other skills they have, they fall off a cliff. And while I think Luke is amazing, he is more athletic than you think. So we'll say that. He's not relying off of no athleticism. He's really good at change of speed and all this stuff that isn't necessarily running and jumping fast. He's athletic in his own way. As soon as he loses that, whatever age that may be, let's call it 35, he's going to be relying on a lot of tough buckets more than he does now. And you need to have some baseline of athleticism to age well. People don't typically age well as a volume scorer unless they're very athletic. You think of the best players that age well of all time: Chris Paul, Tim Duncan. They weren't out here averaging 25 at the age of 36. That's not the way their game's evolved.
They also don't rely on athleticism as much.
No, duh. I mean, obviously LeBron uses his athleticism, but I'm not going to punish him because he was born with insane genetics. Why would I do that?
Are you saying LeBron doesn't rely on his athleticism?
Anybody who has a high volume scoring relies on athleticism to some extent.
But LeBron doesn't rely on it more than other players?
Why would that matter? Yes, LeBron relies on his athleticism. Every good player does. You're telling me someone like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan don't rely on athleticism? And especially a guy like Shaq? You're telling me he doesn't rely on athleticism? What? I don't know what the argument is. LeBron is just run and dunk man? I mean, no. Obviously, he's very skilled, and you pair that with athleticism and work ethic and mentality. Obviously, all of those small details add up and result in him being a very, very good player for a very long time and being a top 5 NBA player of all time, bare minimum, and that's if you're kind of hating. I think he's at worst top 3, but ridiculous.
5 at the age of 36. That's not the way their game's evolved.
They also don't rely on athleticism as much as LeBron does. Are you saying LeBron doesn't rely on his athleticism?
Anybody who has a high volume scoring relies on athleticism to some extent.
But LeBron doesn't rely on it more than other players?
No, he's more athletic than other players. That the word rely implies that's all he has and that he needs that.
No,
dude, have you seen the last couple of years? That guy is not jumping high anymore.
No, I mean, obviously, when LeBron was younger and he wasn't as technically skilled and he wasn't as phenomenal of a on-ball handler, or he wasn't as smart. Obviously, he was extremely smart for a rookie. It's ridiculous how smart this dude is and how he's able to quickly call out plays and dictate the flow in offense. But still, it's not like his only reason out there is because all he is stay in the paint and jump. Like, no, he's able to be skilled in all aspects of the game, and he's able to, I mean, he might be one of the most scalable players ever, just in terms of being able to have any type of flexibility when he's out there. in terms of how you want to match teams around and how you want to build your roster. So this is just goofy. This is a goofy narrative.
Eyes are not going above the rim anymore.
LeBron still not jumping high.
Not as high as he was.
No.
His forehead.
Obviously, LeBron still jumps high compared to a regular dude. But, I mean, compared to the rest of the NBA, at the very least, right now, off the top of top of the dome, I can probably give you 5 people who are more athletic than LeBron right now. Zion Williamson, Giannis. I'd say a guy like Luka, I'd say, is more overall athletic than LeBron, just in terms of stop and go, overall being able to shift weight and balance. Steph Curry definitely fits up there in terms of overall being able to shift your weight and balance and keep on being able to move around and be good on the perimeter. I think even a guy, I know I'm forgetting a ton of players, and that's kind of sad that I'm doing this right now. Even a guy like Victor Wembanyama, with someone who's that tall and his athleticism and balance, that is insane. Even a guy like Mac McClung, not all time, but I'm pretty sure he's a three-peated in the dunk contest. Obviously, that you have to have some athleticism there. Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon. SGA is a very, very athletic player. Anthony Edwards, he's up there. John Collins. I mean, there's so many players who are super athletic, and maybe more so than LeBron, so he's not just only out there for his athleticism.
Barely touching the rim.
And Luka just relies on step-back three-pointers.
All right.
What? That takes athleticism, right? Being able to shift all of your weight to a front foot and then instantly be able to jump back very fast and catch the defender off guard by making sure your hips are aligned. Like, what are we talking about? Luka only relies on, like, three-pointers or step-back three-pointers. Like, is that supposed to be some, you got owned? Like, no, that's just goofy. That's stupid.
All right, so let me tell you what your GOAT did.
Okay.
Your GOAT created a whole generation of stat stuffers.
All right, let's look at this stat stuffer, right? In 2018, when he made it to the NBA Finals, where his team wasn't very good, where it was just him and Kevin Love, and I believe Timofey Mozgov was on that team. They had lost Matthew Dellavedova. I believe he was on the Bucks at this point. And J.R. Smith was out there, Tristan Thompson. Again, not a great team. This stat stuffer who only stat pads and doesn't actually contribute to winning throughout the course of an NBA playoff, right? Put up 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists with a steal and a block a game. He's just stat stuffing, right? It's not like we'll be generous and say on average every single assist was 2 points. It's not like he's putting up 50 total points just by himself. And that doesn't even include any of the shots that led to free throws, any of the passes that were passes to people being able to draw fouls. So 50 points, half of your team's points coming straight from one guy. No, obviously he's not just box score. He's not a box score warrior. Well, yes, he is a box score warrior, but it actually contributes to something. What are we talking about? And of course, you've got the Michael Jordan shirt on. So if anything, that's kind of ironic, if anything, because whenever Michael Jordan was putting up his best stats, he didn't contribute to winning as much as LeBron's stats did. Although that was whenever the East was extremely dominant when Michael Jordan played. He had Larry Bird. He had those Piston teams. He had the Knicks, although they weren't on the same tier. But yeah.
More than ever,
Okay.
right? Everyone's about the stats. It's not about winning anymore. That's Jordan's generation. So, yeah.
I just called it that it would be about Michael Jordan. Okay.
Have all these people coming in, stuffing the stats. You have guys like TJ Warren putting up 50-point games.
Did LeBron create TJ Warren? I mean, I know he created Bronny, but did he create TJ Warren? No. LeBron isn't responsible for TJ Warren going crazy in the bubble and averaging not averaging 50, but he averaged 30. LeBron's not responsible for that, and I don't think he played him in that bubble run, so it's not even like his defense was poor either.
That dude's not even on a roster. If he can do that.
every player will eventually not be on a roster. Duh.
What do you mean it's never going to be broken? Then we're like, oh my God, LeBron was a freak of nature, 6'8", 250, right?
Mhm.
But then we've seen another freak of nature in Wemby, 7'4", and can shoot it, right?
Wemby has already missed a ton of games due to freak injuries, which that's already not off to a great start. And players who are his size usually don't age the best. Although it is a very new concept, having someone who's, I guess the term is unicorn, that gets thrown around. That type of archetype of player hasn't really been seen a whole lot, and their ageability, I guess is the term for it, we don't really know. But judging how Kristaps Porzingis ages, hopefully Wemby ages very well. Hopefully he's able to play for 20 years and can retire whenever he wants to. But no.
Think about the next freak of nature. Not to mention that medicine has gotten insanely better and will continue to get better. Or what if, this is going to be crazy for a LeBron guy to try to visualize, but what if we get a generation that's actually tougher? You know, guys who could play back to back.
LeBron doesn't play back-to-backs anymore because he's 40 years old. We're not arguing if anyone in today's right now can break the record, because no, it's that simple. No. Why are we acting like this? Kareem played back-to-backs, and guess what? LeBron broke his record and is adding on to it. So no.
That's so crazy.
Pick themselves up by their bootstraps.
82 games. And the last point I'm going to make to you is the NBA has turned to an offensive league. They have literally changed the rules to make players score more, like the no hands-on rule. We heard last season they were talking about getting rid of the charge. I mean, how much pushes of help do these offensive players need to surpass LeBron? It's going to happen. It's probably going to happen multiple times. And LeBron will be a thing in the past, just like y'all try to do to Jordan.
First thing I'd like to say is I love the.
Have you not seen First Take? Making Jordan a thing of the past? Are you talking about that TikTok? Like that joke of a TikTok? Or at least I think it's a joke. But joking on TikTok, the we done with the 90s? Michael Jordan is one of the most, idolized players in all of sports. That is just stupid. Whose shirt are you wearing? You're wearing a Michael Jordan shirt. Obviously, we think about Michael Jordan.
The implication that TJ Warren scored 50 off the backbone of LeBron James' existence in this world. I think we should do that with every random 50-point. Corey Brewer.
Malachi Flynn, that's LeBron.
Let's give that one to Kobe. Let's just attribute it to every random star because we can. And, modern medicine is getting better. Mm-hmm. It's good now. And guys still can't play healthy seasons now. It's still an issue that every NBA star gets hurt. And I think it's under talked about that is becoming a huge thing. Almost no stars can survive. Why was that on?
What do you think? It's my call. Finish your sentence and move on. What do you mean?
Listen, I don't blame him for wanting to end this conversation, because I kind of want to end her being up here, because this is just not enjoyable.
Players can't stay healthy now. I don't know if that's going to get fixed over time. Goofy. It's under talked about how much the spacing has caused that to be a thing. So maybe we'll just cure ACL tears one day and we can just pop a pill and cure it overnight. Maybe that's possible. Maybe we have some Harry Potter growth spells that immediately make you just grow a bone back.
2 croissants, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this argument that modern medicine will get so much better. Okay, I mean, again, I'm looking at it through the next 20 years, through a finite amount of time. Obviously, if we say forever, obviously sports leagues are a bit greedy, and they like having more games for more money. Look at leagues like the NFL and the MLS, just having more teams involved. But obviously, if the NBA stays 82 games, I highly doubt that someone would break the record.
That much better.
Maybe
Maybe.
come back from ACL in 6 months, though.
Okay, the 24 seconds needs to be slightly.
Who has come back from an ACL tear in 6 months that's not like J.K. Dobbins in the NFL? What NBA player? I do not remember any NBA player coming back throughout the course of the season from an ACL tear.
Respected.
No.
Okay.
If LeBron came before MJ, there wouldn't be an argument about who is better.
Okay.
Mr. Deshaun,
He raised his
please
hand fast.
step forward.
That was
I mean,
instant.
that's
We could say this very simply.
that's a tough argument to make because of, I mean, LeBron and Jordan's personalities are a bit different. LeBron is much more willing to let other people thrive. Jordan is more so an alpha big dog, I guess. Not that LeBron isn't, obviously, but that Jordan has to take the last shot. Not has to, but he's deferred a couple times. But Jordan has to be the one where he can choose and he has that power and control. LeBron is willing to be a bit more hands off, but he wants more of a say in the overall team and roster construction. So, again, we're comparing what would happen with limited free agency and LeBron was drafted to a good team. So if we're completely swapping their careers, so LeBron gets drafted to the Bulls, and LeBron doesn't retire and ages more gracefully than Jordan, yes, the Bulls are winning at least 6 championships.
This is a great question, by the way. We've already seen Jordan surpass the GOAT before him, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay.
Kareem, since high school, was ready to be the greatest player, just like we saw LeBron James. Kareem in his career, 6 NBA.
Well, Kareem came into the league, I think, 4 years later than LeBron. So I think 4 years kind of adds up in terms of player progression.
Finals, right, where he won, okay, and he had made 10 appearances just like LeBron, except he happened to win more than LeBron did. Kareem, the all-time scoring leader,
Not anymore.
just like LeBron, correct? He also is top 10 in rebounds and might be up there in block shots as well. So we've already seen an all-around player with an unstoppable move and the persona bravado as I'm the greatest.
All-around player. Am I seeing... I haven't personally seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just go crazy on the perimeter. I haven't seen that personally. Obviously, I'm being very literal, but you kind of have to be with some of this because some of this is just not great. This is just bad. I mean, it's there's not any substantial points that are being made here, at least right now. But
And what did Jordan do? Surpassed him, right? He went 6-0. That's 100% in the finals. He also has the MVPs to match up with him and 6 finals MVP, which is something that Kareem did not do. So we have already.
So you're telling me that 6-0 is the end all be all? Because he made it to 6. If anything, I would prefer making it to 10. Because at least, again, if we're using only the rings argument, Kareem made it to more and he won the same. Obviously, sure, that percentage isn't as great, but he would still be the second best team in the league. And when Jordan wasn't making the finals, he was getting his butt whooped, absolutely annihilated in the first round. And he had to wait for teams to age out and to reach their peak and then inevitably fall and then didn't really succeed. After the Bulls, obviously he was with the Wizards for 2 years and he was old and that team sucked. But Jordan kind of plays a part in that because I believe he was the GM and he also was just harassing players on that team and kind of making their lives miserable. So
Already seen this iteration of Jordan following up someone who is deemed as the greatest. So if you reverse the roles, there's still no debate. Jordan tops LeBron every time.
I appreciate your love for.
Oh my gosh, how did I completely forget it? When I talked about the 6-0, then why isn't Bill Russell the GOAT? I'm tweaking.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Unfortunately, that is entirely irrelevant. This is not a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus LeBron James conversation.
It's LeBron.
It is Michael Jordan versus LeBron James.
LeBron. It's
If
Jordan
if any of that mattered, you would have Kareem at 2 and LeBron at 3. Do you?
I have LeBron at 4.
All right.
Oh no! I swear, if he says another thing that is goofy, I'm going even further because I'm already ripping on him because this is just stupid. But four. All right, Michael and Kareem. Okay, I can somewhat get behind those two. I think maybe LeBron, just in terms of NBA greatness. But who else, Kobe?
So clearly I'm speaking to somebody with an outrageous worldview on LeBron James. So that makes sense to me. That makes total sense now why you would bring that up. Unfortunately, I live in reality, and I do not believe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a greater player than LeBron James. All those things you said make sense. If you're simply looking at it, that all Jordan had to do to pass up and be the GOAT is check boxes on paper. And that makes total sense. As a Jordan fan, you see number 6, number 0, he's the GOAT. LeBron.
The argument for LeBron is based in context. It's based in how did he lose those 6 finals? What led to him getting there? And is that more impressive than losing in the first round? It's just based more in context than it is based on numbers. So I think that's an important.
The argument for him has nothing to do with whatever Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did. He's a better player. That he's the typical things: bigger, faster, stronger.
He's the better player
he's a better
for
passer.
longer.
Scoring, let's call it equal.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to give it to Jordan by an edge because of whatever reasons you.
Well, I think if we're looking at scoring, right, individual scoring for like a single year, yes, that goes to Jordan. But over a 20-year span, being able to adapt with the new trends of the league and still being up there and not really having any major weaknesses offensively, at least in the beginning of his career he did, but that got fixed. So I guess I can understand why you'd call scoring equal because you go based off of the longevity of it. Sure, Jordan averages more points per game, but I think that's increased by assists as well as just overall number of shots taken. Because I want to look up how many shots Michael Jordan took per game. And we're just going to compare the total point differential in terms of like shots taken. So over his career, Jordan took, or we'll say with the Bulls, right? Whenever he was really at his peak, he took 23 shots per game, and he took almost 9 free throws a game. And then if we look at LeBron, right, throughout the course of LeBron's career, he takes 3 less shots and half a free throw less. So LeBron takes less shots and is pretty much around equal with the overall longevity of it. Although LeBron's longevity is better. But yeah, the scoring is equal.
You have, sure, LeBron's a better interior scorer. If you want to give Jordan jump shooting, go ahead. Scoring is close
Even
enough.
then, jump shooting, mid-range Jordan, three-pointer, I'd still say LeBron. But
the passing is a big difference. I think LeBron's more versatile defensively. He's
okay, going back to the passing, Michael Jordan's a great passer. I don't want to act like, or not great. Michael Jordan's an underrated passer. He's not a just horrible passer. Because, I mean, he averaged 5 assists throughout his career, but when he was asked to, he was able to get up to 8 assists a game with 8 rebounds. So, Michael Jordan was a good passer. Michael Jordan wasn't a horrible passer. It's just that in the triangle offense with Phil Jackson, he was told to take more shots and have more of an on-ball say of what goes on in the offense. So I think that factors into it. And then in terms of defense, Michael Jordan was a monster defensively, but that was... I don't want to get very into conspiracy theories, but I mean, there is a bit of facts where some of Michael Jordan's defensive numbers were aided, because I believe there was a couple articles by like Bleacher Report and The Athletic where people go through and watch the film, and Jordan doesn't have as many steals or blocks as he's said to have had. But even then, Michael Jordan was a great defender. I still think interior defense is obviously LeBron just because of the size, but also perimeter defense. LeBron's more versatile on defense because he's able to guard centers, where it's something just based on size Jordan can't do.
obviously the higher IQ player, lifts
Yeah.
people up around him better, the better playmaker in that way. If you believe that he is truly the better player all around, which, many LeBron fans do, obviously you don't, that would be enough that if he came first, you wouldn't see Jordan pass him up. So much of why Jordan is revered as his unquestioned GOAT is nostalgia, is he came first, is he was the first guard to come in and be a guy that showed you can, win a title around
now this is getting
was all big
spicy.
man, like you said.
All because of nostalgia. Okay, I'm gonna be fair to Jordan, right? Some of these numbers are ridiculous. 37 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1.5 blocks. Jordan was a monster. Jordan was insane. I don't want to make it seem like Jordan's only out there because of nostalgia and strictly because we want to go back to the 90s. No, Jordan was a demon.
Said if LeBron had did that first, that talking point would be irrelevant. He would be great. Obviously, he'd be in the conversation, but none of that nostalgia would be attached to him, and he wouldn't have this reverence about him. He wouldn't be the same outside the court figure because we would have already had LeBron to deify in that way. So all of that type of bigger than basketball stuff that's attached to Jordan.
Listen, LeBron's shoes aren't as good as Jordan's. That's all I'm going to, or at least the Jordan ones. But would LeBron have had the bronze? I guess I have no idea.
His name would be gone. There'd be very little
he
argument,
came first,
especially if
I don't know.
LeBron presumably dominated that generation in the same way Jordan did, which
I think I left my card at the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan and LeBron are so close to each other, and that it's. I mean, there's so many things that factor into it. Where if like the season. Oh, speaking of LeBron, here he is, the glorious king. Jordan didn't do that though. Jordan didn't get people looking fresh. But looking at whenever Jordan took a ton of his shots, right? Because again, LeBron averaged 20 shots per game, and when Jordan put up like his major numbers, he would always take more shots than him. I mean, whenever he put up the 37 points, he put up 28 shots. I mean, there's a big discrepancy between those two.
And I think you made a couple of points that aren't based in fact and more based in opinion.
Okay, well, obviously, all of this is based in opinion. I mean, it's based on how you want to view the game and what's more important and what's your core value system. Obviously, it's based in opinion.
Well, no, there are some facts to back it up, some of which that I've named, right? You talked about being a more versatile defender. The Defensive Player of the Year awards don't say that.
Oh, no. Listen, now I will be a conspiracy theorist. LeBron was robbed of Defensive Player of the Year, because he came in second, and the dude who won it over him didn't even make all defensive first team. No, LeBron should have a Defensive Player of the Year unequivocally.
Talk about the.
Well,
go ahead.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Right. So that goes in favor of Jordan. You said we can call scoring equal. How? Michael Jordan once averaged 37 points per game. Has LeBron ever done that?
No, but he did it on 8 more shots and 4 more free throws. And also, Joel Embiid and James Harden also averaged that. I don't see why we're not debating them up there, just because Jordan performed well in the playoffs, I guess. But
are we going to go off of the best scores of all time, or the ones who average the most per year?
Are you going to let me finish?
Well, you gave me.
You took a pause, bro.
You gave me a pause to respond.
Your argument was also that was just the little pregnant.
Okay,
pause.
being dramatic. Go ahead. My bad. Okay, I respect it.
LeBron's stats are more based in longevity, right? If you're talking about who's the greatest scorer, we're looking at points per game. We're looking at playoff performances. We're looking at regular season performances. You can't call that a wash, right?
I guess I understand where you're coming from, but you can't. Again, I have the numbers pulled up on my screen. Michael Jordan took more shots, and Michael Jordan was more overall important to the offense. So I guess yes, but he also, 40 minutes per game. Again, you can't just strictly look at points. That's not a metric of who a better scorer is. It's how you get those points. What do you do when you have your shots? What is more important in the offense? What's the flow of it? Is it more of a overall, what's the term? Not, I guess, perimeter centric, but what were those Steve Nash Suns called? Heliocentric, that's what it is. Are you in a more heliocentric offense where you're more the primary option? Is it a more triangle offense where you have more movement based around a single player? So I think acting as though it's just because of one number is a bit disingenuous and cherry-picking arguments.
You can't call the defensive stats a wash either. And then you talked about uplifting players and making players better. Is that really true? I don't think so. Who did Jordan take to the finals? Scottie Pippen, Luke Longley, Ron.
Hall of Famer. Scottie Pippen is unequivocally a Hall of Famer and a great player.
Ron Harper, a bunch of players that after they left him were not able to accomplish the same things. When LeBron James gets a player, they get worse. Remember that guy, Kevin Love? What was he doing in Minnesota? And then what happens when he joins LeBron in Cleveland?
You know what? I want to issue an apology to Stephen A. Smith. I apologize. You are not the most delusional Michael Jordan fan. I am sorry that I thought you were. I'm sorry I thought of you too harshly. Because what is said right here is just utter nonsense. Michael Jordan had like an 8-year stretch with roughly the same core. Obviously, you had guys like Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman come in and out of the team. But if you play 8 years, obviously you're going to get out of your prime if you're Scottie Pippen. Again, what are we doing? Making players worse. I'm assuming he's talking about Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving. Yeah, okay, we'll start with Kevin Love. That one's the easiest to disprove. Kevin Love is playing on a horrible team and was asked to be someone who's a good not perimeter defender, but I guess so. A good perimeter shooter and 3 and interior defense type of guy and be someone whose job is rebounding and being able to bridge those minutes between Kyrie Irving and LeBron. And so obviously his minutes go down if you're the third, and his points go down if you're the third option. Again, same thing with Chris Bosh, more being focused on defense and being a stretch big man. Yes, again, your numbers will decrease if you don't have as much of a role in the offense. Shocker. And then Dwayne Wade, LeBron takes up kind of that space, and Dwayne Wade ended up being a great passer and facilitator for the team. And then Kyrie Irving, again, same thing. This is just dumb.
Kyrie Irving, same thing. Players don't get better. LeBron is able to dominate the game more and take them away from the stardom that they already had, because you know he likes to acquire players and not make them homegrown.
Okay, and does it matter? Does it matter that LeBron wants to... If anything, what he did with Cleveland was mutually beneficial. They got a championship out of it. They had 4 years of contention, and were better once he left, at least for the future. I dropped someone. But this narrative and idea that LeBron just completely ruins players who join him, or that when he joins a team, is ridiculous.
Yeah, I hear you. And everything you said makes total sense if you stop thinking about basketball in like 2010. And if you were still in like points per game equal good, and we didn't realize what the value of...
DeAndre Ayton just signed with the Lakers. The Lakers are finally doing something. Dominating's going to LA, I guess. That's actually a pretty good signing. Let me pick this up real quick. But that's a great signing for the Lakers. How much is it on, according to Shams? It doesn't say, but I know he says he'll earn at least $34 million next year total between Portland and LA. I think that's a great signing. You get someone who's still somewhat young and just a few years ago was on a competitive team. That's a great signing for the Lakers. Completely unrelated, but we're going back to the video.
Efficiency, the value of playing in a certain system that gets touches to other people, not simply funneling into one person. Points per game hasn't been the metric for who makes simply the better scorer in like 15 years of discourse. We are so far past that. If you viewed points per game as the end-all be-all, great. Then he's going to be your GOAT regardless. But if you understand the value
Joel Embiid, best center of all time, if that's the case, then. I mean, no, points per game isn't the main metric.
Of a bucket that creates shots
It's
for
the eye
others
test.
and value of making the right play and not simply chasing a high points per game value, it's easy to understand why LeBron is equally as good of a scorer. In his prime, he shot nearly 80% at the rim, which is ridiculous. We don't have the tracking numbers for Jordan back then. It would have been good too. He would have been 68, 70, obviously.
Nah, that's actually insane. 80% at the rim is
Part of that is era. He would have been
diabolical.
lower because less spacing. So we could acknowledge that.
Mhm.
He wouldn't have been a goddamn 80. I'll tell you that. He wouldn't have been the freight train in the open court that LeBron is. I feel very safe saying LeBron is the best open court scorer getting to the rim, probably of all time, besides the bigs like Shaq. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think LeBron is the best driver going into the rim, going to the basket ever. I mean, the way he's able to just power through people and or just maintain great balance, because people obviously are going into LeBron because they want to get him off of his base, but just great balance and good dexterity, all that. I mean, again, LeBron, incredible. He's considered to be up there with either the GOAT or one of the GOATs for a reason. So
Fair.
Hold on, I'm going to have to go 24 seconds on this topic.
24 seconds, and I'll run this again. The question was, if LeBron came first, would there be an argument?
is he just a parrot? I mean, he's saying the same points over and over and over again, and it's just not leading to anything.
I've already given you the factual data that prove we've seen a version of LeBron who was regarded as
A version of LeBron. No,
uncontented GOAT,
they're two
which was
completely different
Kareem.
players.
Jordan surpassed him. And I gave you the career stats, which Kareem had more career stats at the time. I gave you the finals MVP. I gave you the finals win. Jordan came into the league and took that away from Kareem. He also took it away from Bird, and he also took it away from Magic.
LeBron James.
All right. Magic retired after, I think, 13 years, and Bird retired after, I think, 14 or 15. They retired earlier than the big three of Jordan, Bron, and Kareem. So adding them in there is ridiculous. And especially whenever you add in that Kareem actually played with Magic. But this is horrible.
James walked through those doors on his Lakers teams, he would have accomplished just as much as Kareem while being the better player. It wouldn't be an argument. It's entirely irrelevant to focus on what happened to those guys. We're talking about a hypothetical.
Oh, if you traded places with Kareem, ooh, that team would be insane. Because I'm assuming that's whenever they had Worthy as the shooter, Magic. Because Magic was a very good offensive scorer. It's underrated because he just would go with the hee, but no. No, Magic LeBron would be insane.
Which a better player was in those situations.
Oh,
If you're an
that'd be
NBA
insane.
player at the beginning of each season, what is your ultimate goal?
To win a championship. I'll go ahead and give you what you want to hear.
Thank you.
Dad, come on, let's go.
A ring. That's the ultimate thing. Everyone wants one of these. And LeBron took 10 teams to the finals, and he took, let's just look and go back to the teams that he took to the finals that were just buns, for lack of a better term. Can I get the playoff? Yeah, okay. So he made it in 07, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And then, or it could be both of those teams have the same number of. Oh, no, I'm wrong. That was the year after. 25, 8 and 8 with 2 steals and half of a block. Okay, I mean, those are, again, great stats, but not. Just skip that ad. But that's incredible. And then 08, 09, 35, 9 and 7, 1.5 and 1. Oh my gosh, this. Moral of the story, LeBron, when he makes it to the finals, plays insane. I know that's very, very basic of a point to make. But throughout 9 years at Cleveland, he averaged 30 points in the playoffs, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And then 4 years in Miami, 27, 8, 6, 2, and 1. This dude is a monster. Oh, I need to unmute.
So at the start of each season, you want to win a championship, right?
Yes.
And if we think about some of the greatest winners of all time, right? Would you say that winning a three-peat is difficult?
Very so.
Yes.
So how many times has that happened in history? Do you know?
Few.
Three times in the
So some of the
modern
greatest
NBA.
players in history, some of the greatest winners in history, have only won one championship, maybe won two in a row, maybe won a few, but they were like sporadic throughout their career.
Like Tim Duncan.
It's rare that you see a team or a player accomplish a three-peat, right? Tim Duncan, he won it, I think, like every other year. He has like 5 of them, but he never did it twice in a row.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant did it 3 times in a row, and it took him and Shaq to do it, right? He did
almost got the 4,
right?
but they lost.
I think those 60 Celtics with Kuzi and them, they did it like 100 times in a row, whatever it was. I'm just saying, but that
They did it like 11. They won 11 out of 13. So they did.
That was a different
whatever.
era. My point
They were insane.
in the modern era of basketball,
There's
to
been
win 3 times in a row is damn near impossible. Nobody can do it. Those Warriors in the 2015 era to 2020,
They made it to 5
they won it a
straight
bunch of
and won 3. Not in a row because they won, lost, won, lost. Yeah.
times, but they also couldn't do it 3 times in a row. LeBron James, 2012 and 2013, couldn't do it a 3rd time in a row. Ended up losing to those same Spurs. My point is that a three-peat is hard to come by. And if championships is how we measure greatness in the NBA, how can we say that anyone other than the only man to do it twice in one career is any worse than anybody else to ever play the game?
Yeah.
Well, championships don't make a career. It's some of the best players ever. Guys like Steve Nash have won MVPs. Charles Barkley's won an MVP. Kevin Garnett, before he was on the Celtics, won an MVP. Careers aren't built off of championships. They are nice to have, but they don't define a player. They can elevate you like nothing else can, but they aren't what gets you from here to here. They're from what gets you here to here in terms of like all-time rankings. They don't make you this extraordinary talent. They are what aids you in that.
Yeah.
If the ultimate goal is NBA championships, LeBron James, I'm sure, is on record saying that that's what the ultimate goal for any NBA player would be.
Oh, I'm sure.
How do we pick anyone other than the only man who was able to do a three-peat, which is probably the hardest thing to do in basketball, twice, after taking a year off to play baseball, smoke cigars, and gamble?
Lots to unpack there.
Unpack it.
I gotta remember all the crazy shit you just said.
All facts. Like the good brother Deshaun.
First of all, all of that would be great, and all that'd be dandy if the Basketball Hall of Fame was the Basketball Hall of Fame of three-peats. If that was,
I mean, I understand the viewpoint. It's incredible, but again, 3 straight championships is also a team achievement because it's not based on an individual player. As much as people want to make fun of a lead GM for LeBron, he hasn't built all of those teams. Winning a three-peat is based on keeping your core together, keeping your team together. And in the new NBA, in the modern NBA, with the development of things like free agency, it makes it harder to do that. And so it's just
was the only thing you measured by, and if the top players of all times are only the ones who got three-peats, then we'd have no conversations. It would be there's like 3 players we're talking about in NBA history, but that's not the case. And yes, the way you measure success is winning championships as a team. That is so contextual. I understand that we treat Michael Jordan like a god who is a one-man army against the world. He's not. It's a 12-man.
He wasn't the best defender on his own team. Hot take. But Scottie Pippen was the one who would match up against the bigger players, and that was something that there were a lot more of these larger freaks of nature on the offense. Same thing with Dennis Rodman later on for the second three-peat. Point being, defense allows for people to thrive, but the main one being winning a championship is more than 1 or 2 or 3 players. It's based on the 5 that are out there and the other 10 that are the reserves and subs. That is the main point.
Man roster, 15 back then. It's so much contextually needed to talk about team versus team that I think that's the general error of the way we talk about basketball in general is saying we measure success via championships. That's part of it, but it's part of a larger whole to understand a player, his impact, his skills, weighing all that individually. So I don't think championships are the end-all be-all. You obviously need, a requisite amount of success to show that your talent can, translate in the playoffs. I don't think necessarily hitting a certain number is the only way to talk about that. And I certainly don't think three-peats is the only way that you can justify that. It's very impressive, not to take it away. Yeah. But if three-peats were just the measure, then you would have Bill Russell at 2. I don't believe you have Bill Russell at 2.
No, because there's obviously a lot more to consider.
Exactly.
For sure, right?
A whole
but when
lot.
it comes down to it, right? When you're looking at Jordan and LeBron, and they're like kind of neck and neck in pretty much every category except winning, which is what the ultimate goal of an NBA player is, to win. And if you look, and I'm looking at two guys, one who's won more than the other with pretty much the same stat.
I get that, but then does that make Patrick McCaw better than Kevin Garnett, Steve Nash, and I'm trying to think of the third, Charles Barkley? Does he make them better than that because he has more championships than all of them combined? No. Again, championships build on top of an already predisposed and already made legacy.
Stats, and yeah, LeBron's playing 22 years. Michael Jordan played 14 or 15. There's like going to be some discrepancies there, but the fact of the matter is that he played 6 years less and has more accolades, relatively the same amount of stats. I just think if we're going to look at two players who are so close, which is why we're having this debate, why not let it come down to, at the end of the day, who was holding the trophy at the end of the season? Michael Jordan did it 6 times in 6 tries.
Yeah, you mentioned it's
24
hard.
seconds.
God, Jesus, you mentioned that it's hard to win in the modern NBA, make three-peats. That is true. You made it sound like the modern NBA is the same as when Michael Jordan was. Like the modern NBA started in 1990. It didn't.
I think it did.
It just straight up not. We're in such a different world than we were in the 90s. Back then, there was way less player movement. It was way easier to make your team and keep them together. We know he had the best team. He's part of that, but he had an amazing supporting cast. The reason LeBron has to cycle through teammates, it's hard to build a good team today when you're not a homegrown, draft all your stars type of team.
Because whenever Michael Jordan did end up retiring for the first cycle, I believe the Bulls only had a win difference of 2. They lost 2 more games than they did with Jordan. Now, obviously, again, Jordan made it better, but I think that I will say this debate was much better and actually more thought out and fleshed out than the previous one, where it was just all yapping and just parroting numbers.
Okay, elongated success is harder.
Well, I'm just going to say this. LeBron James, he spent most of the 80s getting his ass whooped by Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas. All these guys had every opportunity in the world to leave Chicago and join any of those teams to make sure they had better players.
Well, it was different. It was different then. Whenever he was losing, they were getting top picks, and they obviously it was clear they were building something. Whereas, unlike LeBron, when he was in the 2000s, his team sucked. There was no clear direction. So, and plus free agency wasn't as well developed. It would have been frowned on even more. I mean, if people thought the decision got LeBron hated, imagine. And that was only in Cleveland in that area, right? Imagine if Jordan did that. Jordan's in a larger market, and there wasn't anyone like him before. Imagine what would have happened.
Is around him, but he stuck it out in Chicago. They developed the team. They put players around him that they can win, and then he won 6 in a row outside of his little gambling era. But
also, Jordan got injured in like his second year, which, side note, my dad actually went to go see Michael Jordan on the bench when he was injured with my uncle. I think it was them two, but I know that they went and saw. So just a little fun fact. And
then I say that to say, with LeBron at the buzzer, he's soft.
His ass was
okay. All right.
His ass was under contract. He did not have every opportunity.
He's soft.
The Knicks. I do. Thank you for your service. Okay. This next topic is controversial.
He's soft.
LeBron James is one of the clutchest players of all time.
Oh, we're about to see some
again.
Hello. Welcome back. Clutch.
No. Why can't we get someone else?
What? Not clutch at the free throw line. Maybe he had some clutch performance.
Does the question say clutchest at the free throw line? No.
Says, but let's bring up the biggest moments of LeBron James' career, and let's continue to talk about winning like my brother Nelson did. Miami Heat, biggest shot of the series that got them to Game 7.
2 rings.
Jesus Shuttlesworth. Game 7 against Warriors, and my guy, Stephen Curry, that's ingrained in my memory, Kyrie Irving. And who passed him the ball? LeBron, because it wasn't his moment. Whenever it's time and it really counts and it comes down to it, he's passing the ball because he shies away from the last shot. Please don't go to some regular season game where no one is watching. Let's talk about the biggest moments when being clutch matters.
Let's make
he
80%
doesn't
of the
have
game
the ball in
irrelevant.
his hand.
Okay.
Well, what matters the most?
Keep on, sorry. Keep on.
The last shot or the ones that happened before? I placed the value on a shot that got them to win. Talk to me.
Again, Similar to last time we argued, that would be real great if we stopped thinking about basketball 15 years ago. How do you get to the last shot? How do you keep these games competitive? Everything leads up to it. And real quick, did that question say one of the most clutch players or one of the most clutch last shot?
All right, so I want to go back and look at the playoffs. Can I not see the playoff game log? Okay, I can. Cool. Oh, I clicked the wrong year. I'm goofy. I am so goofy. I clicked the wrong year. There's too many to choose from with this guy. Way to go, LeBron. Why did you have to play so long? That was in 20... Was it 2012? I think it was. Yeah, okay, it was. LeBron in that game where he got carried, we'll say, by Ray Allen at the end. LeBron had 32 points and 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 32-point triple-double. Can I get even more in-depth? Can I go and look at the possession? Ooh, I can. We can go to the fourth quarter. Ooh. All right, let's look. So in the fourth quarter, LeBron played every minute. He had 16 points and 2 rebounds and 2 assists and a plus 10. No, Ray Allen didn't carry him with 5 points. Dude, this is so frustrating because LeBron was so clearly clutch, but we just act and I don't know if we're pandering or if we are just making up and creating ideas where LeBron wasn't clutch. No, he objectively was. He just, at least in that finals, was objectively clutch. I think it was 15 points in the fourth quarter. Dominant. That is clutch. Would you rather him score it in the first minute or in the first quarter than in the fourth? I would prefer fourth. If anything, that's more clutch that he's doing that. Gosh, we'll look at the 2016 playoffs. We'll look at that and we'll go again. We'll go through the game log. We'll go through the fourth quarter. $11 points, 3 rebounds and an assist and the block. Why do we do this to LeBron? Objectively, he is clutch. Those 2 series that he's pointed out where he quote-unquote got saved by someone else. No. LeBron had 11 out of the team's 18 points and that also includes an assist. And that assist, if I'm not mistaken, was that Kyrie Irving 3-pointer. So right there, he is responsible for 14 of the team's 18 fourth quarter points and directly saved 2 more and kept the Cavs in the game. This idea is what is wrong with sports, with the way that we talk about sports, where we create narratives out of things that are not based in reality, based in our personal views of how we view people as players and individuals. This is just wrong. Morally, ethically, and factually. Yes, LeBron was clutch in those series.
Shooters.
I would say this is about being clutch at the end. That's how clutch is mostly defined. No one's really talking about it before in the first, second, and third quarter.
Oh, I'm not talking about it.
There is a clutch time stat too. I think it's the final 5 minutes.
I agree. I will go Google LeBron clutch time stats. We'll look at his clutch stats, right? We'll look at it. We'll look at it and see his if I can get it to load. That would be ideal if we can get it to load. Google is just deciding not to. Oh, it is. Cool. All right. What? All right. So in the clutch throughout his career, I forget what clutch 2 is. Top 1% in potential. Okay, we'll just look at. Okay, we'll look. 52% effective field goal percentage in the clutch. Yeah, I don't like this. Can I just get regular? I just want regular clutch shots. I just want regular. I don't want the shooting report. I would just prefer regular clutch shots. That would be great if I could do that. LeBron is this 8th? The most, like, oh my God. Or no, he's 9th. At age 40, LeBron is 9th in terms of this statsinpredictable.com shooting breakdown thing. That I don't, weird. But still, being that high up at that age is crazy. LeBron is clutch. I don't have
So let's define it by that then.
Okay, the clutch player.
Yeah.
What is involved in offense? Passing and shooting. Setting up others for good shots and shooting the shot yourself. So I'm not going to let you pretend that playmaking is irrelevant and that setting up open shooters is not good. It is. LeBron has taken his fair share.
Oh, we got the clutch time stats now. Oh, you're so messed up now. I just have to find LeBron. You know what? We can go back to 2016 and we'll find it with ease. With ease. They didn't track it. Dang. I guess we're on NBA.com. We'll go and look. Can I just get, there we go. All right. We don't want Bronny. We would like LeBron. Can I just get clutch points? Ugh. Advanced splits, miscellaneous scoring splits, usage. No. Oh, I thought I got it. I guess we'll just have to look it up on Google stats in the last 5 minutes. We'll say that that's clutch. LeBron James stats in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter in playoff games. All right, this is according to the Google AI, which is based off of Stat News. That's the fourth quarter. Okay. In the 2023 playoffs, so he's out of his prime. 4 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 2 assists in the final 5 minutes. Can I get a full career, please? Okay, fine. We'll go look in the fourth quarter in the playoffs. Averages 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. And that's... Why is it giving me 7 minutes per game? Okay. Oh, that's in 7 minutes per game. He's putting up over a point a minute with... Oh, LeBron is clutch.
Okay. Shots at the end does too.
We've done the research. LeBron is in fact clutch.
On these last second shots in playoffs, which, cool. He can do that too. If you want to say other guys did it more often than him or in flashier ways that you remember more because it was in a big game on national TV and what you were watching, great. I, for one, have the privilege of having the internet. And I know that not everything that I didn't see some of it still happened, even though I didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And he has good clutch numbers. So I won't pretend that's not the case. But also the harping on the fact that he passes the ball to people as if it's a negative is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. The smartest players know the smartest shots aren't always contested step back shots because you want to be the one to take it.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think that we need to punish LeBron for I want to be more, more chill. I don't think we need to punish someone for making the right play that resulted in winning. I don't think that's necessarily what we're supposed to do as fans, because that's just kind of a very casual thing. It's like, okay, look, Kyrie Irving made the shot, but LeBron assisted him on it. Or again with Ray Allen, LeBron almost outscored the entire team of the Spurs in that fourth quarter. I don't think we need to necessarily blame someone because they've performed well up to that point. I just think that that's very
If you have a 40% corner three-point shooter,
disingenuous.
you give him the ball. And you said maybe he has some clutch performances in the beginning to downplay it. Yeah,
Many.
maybe he has a lot of them. Maybe
Many.
he averages 34 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists in closeout games.
Lowe's knows our pro member
34, 11, and what is it, 8? That is ridiculous. Man, LeBron.
Maybe not.
is
I don't know, but I think yes. So I'm not going to pretend that's just a throwaway and you could just like toss it aside and be like, what about free throws? Because the good stuff actually matters, not just the bad stuff.
So you talked about playmaking, but let's talk about those plays because you said you have the internet. Me too. So we can easily go and look at these moments. He didn't pass Ray the ball. That was a tip out
by Bosh.
So shout out
Yes,
to Chris
great
Bosh.
play by Bosh.
LeBron was nowhere near that play. He actually missed the shot before it.
He did.
Then we could go to him setting up Kyrie.
He had missed the 3-point shot, and this is one of the more hotly debated things because Greg Popovich had subbed out Tim Duncan because he wanted to get smaller and make sure that everyone could guard the perimeter. And Bosh, who was a good 3-point shooter, was out there, and he got the rebound and tipped it out to Allen, and Ray Allen was able to step back and make the 3. I mean, I'm not going to I don't see the need to discredit someone because someone else made a great play. I mean, it was a great play by Ray Allen and a great play by Bosh. And again, same thing with the Kyrie Irving. Great play. I mean, I don't know why we need to discredit someone because someone else made a play. I think that's ridiculous.
He didn't play make. He just gave him the ball and shied away. You remember the Olympics?
I do.
Who he gave the ball to?
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
And you saw what Steph did?
He's bad.
Hit a clutch 3. That won him
Multiple,
the gold medal, and he was robbed of that Olympic MVP too. Don't
Okay, calm down. Steph Curry was super clutch. That entire Olympic, especially in that final. So again, same thing. I don't know why we need to punish LeBron, who at this point was, I think, like 38, 39. We don't need to punish someone because Steph Curry was on maybe the greatest 3-second run or 3-minute run any player has ever been on. I don't know why we need to punish someone for that. Because, again, I'm pretty sure LeBron had an assist on one of those, which, sure, assist, smushist, but I don't know why we need to punish people for making plays that end up resulting in winning. I mean, would you have wanted LeBron to lose? Would you have just, out of spite, you would want the USA to lose because LeBron's on that team? And because he was the flag bearer? I mean, is that something that we're going to do? Are we just going to hate on LeBron regardless of what happens? I don't know. I just think this is ridiculous.
even get me started there. So in the biggest moments of LeBron's career on the international stage or on the NBA stage, it is not him making the play and it is not him making a shot. He has to rely on other people. And that's okay.
If we pretend his career is wrapped up into 2 plays, then you got it.
3 plays.
Oh, 3. Sorry. There we go. Especially the one that didn't happen in the NBA too. Got to count that.
I'm not watching the rest of this. I'm not watching the rest of whenever this guy is going to be debating, I'm not watching the rest of it. I'm not because I don't think 3 plays define a 20-year career. Can we get someone else up here? When does he get on? All right, there we go. This is what we'll watch.
Performance. Trying to narrow it down to 1 shot in the last 10 seconds is just pushing it into a direction that isn't actually, showing what clutch is in basketball.
See, that's the thing with LeBron. We always define
Oh, I had skipped too far ahead. Oh no.
Number.
Ready?
Yep.
0-7.
In second place or third place, right? If they got that silver medal, that would be a bigger stain on his career than any of his other losses. So don't count out the Olympics. It only happens once every 4 years.
Okay, there you go. You can have your Olympics talking in which LeBron won. So I'm glad that
Again, we're punishing someone for an if.
Perfect timing.
Get factual because you can't dispute facts. Right?
I cannot.
All right.
All right.
We're done with the previous guy. Now I'm looking forward
Do you
to
have the facts
actual
written down?
decent debates.
Maybe just little pointers. But here's
Why can't I have PEDs? This is crazy.
Let's
I
go.
didn't know we did
Actual
notes.
facts.
I just
Let's
wanted
see.
to get specific because I know like Bronzexual is really just kind of
yeah, bad memory.
there.
Yeah, you remind me.
Okay.
And so
Broad
we're going to
generalizations,
go over
love it.
LeBron's 4-6 records finals. Let's talk about him in the last 24 seconds.
We're going to talk about 24 seconds of a 48-minute game.
Actual stats.
The last 24 seconds?
Yes.
Of the game?
Specific
24
number.
seconds is so arbitrary. Go ahead. Tell me about the last 24 seconds.
All right. Final four, 24
Very
seconds.
random number.
Ready?
Yep.
Is this the playoffs, I'm assuming?
In 24 seconds.
And in the finals. Final 10
Oh,
seconds.
in the finals, so not
5,
even the playoffs.
Final 5 seconds, 0-4. A buzzer beater, which he only had one, so his games aren't even close. 0-1. A clutch player finishes those plays. You give Michael Jordan the ball, he finishes the play. You give LeBron the ball, he'll give it to someone else. When you're a clutch player, you don't do that. Not to mention multiple polls done by The Athletic. No one.
All right. So first of all, I was a bit late on the pause here. Am I wrong, right? But in the top left corner here, does this say, I know that this is blocking it, but one of the clutchest or the clutchest? Because I'm pretty sure it says one of. So it's not even just completely disregarding other people. It's saying one of the clutchest. So it's even showing respect to Michael Jordan. And then using the last 24 seconds, okay, that's such a slim number. I mean, that would be like arguing, again, if we're basing it strictly off stats, Tyrese Halliburton is a top 3 player ever because he's insane in the last 24 seconds, but it's ridiculous that we're basing it off of, again, 24 seconds of a 48-minute game. And then using The Athletic as a source to back up isn't exactly great. I mean, again, if it's in like 2014, 15, 16, or 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then going to 15, those years, okay, those polls would hold some weight.
No
I'm
one's
just curious
ever
when they
voted.
are.
His peers have never voted for him to be a top 5 clutch player in the NBA. Yeah. How are you going to call him a...
Okay. I mean, I think that's a valid point to make. Definitely. But Tyrese Halliburton was also voted the most overrated player in the NBA.
Clutch player, if his peers don't even think so.
When did those athletic polls start?
2-3 years ago.
I need to hear this again. I want to make sure that I'm entirely correct.
Don't even think so.
As to
when did those athletic polls start?
2-3 years ago.
We are arguing about the greatness of a 37-year-old man. Where is Michael Jordan when he was 37? I know that this is such a just truly disgraceful thing to do. I'm becoming the people that we don't like, which is just box score numbers and just, again, box score watchers. But let's go look at Michael Jordan's stats at 37. Michael Jordan at age 37 was retired. Now, he did play at 38. And at 38, he was an all-star. Averaged 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. But the problem with that is Michael Jordan was better than him at 37. So, again, if we're making this a strictly one-to-one debate, not even really in favor of Jordan. But, yeah.
How old was LeBron 2-3 years ago?
I think that
was he in his prime?
Comes from...
Oh, that is hysterical. The complete total dodge of asking the question, where was LeBron? Out of his prime entirely. Unequivocally, he's out of his prime. And that still is a phenomenal player. Because, again, we're going 2-3 years ago, right? So we're going, 38 years old. 38 years old. Jordan at 38 years old, 23, 5-5. LeBron at 38 years old, 29, 8-7. LeBron is better at every single category, and it's not even fair.
Everyone.
Was he in his prime?
They put his teammates.
Was he in his prime? I don't believe so.
He just won a championship like 3 years ago.
Oh,
That was the Mickey-
time's flying. That's like 5 seasons ago now. It's 4.
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Irrelevant.
I'm not. No, I've already had my major crash out moment. I'm not gonna go crazy, but no, just no. It's not a Mickey Mouse ring.
Listen, 24 seconds is a lovely number when you're looking to find the exact number you needed to find no shots. If you expand to what clutch time actually is, the last 5 minutes when you're leading up to wins, obviously those numbers are going to be better. So, shout out finding the perfect number for the stat.
Could you give me a buzzer beater or a clutch shot that he has hit?
Again, the fact that we're saying clutch shots, like we have to have one single shot, isn't what clutch actually is. I can give you plenty of games in which he came up clutch in an elimination game, in which he had fourth quarter performances and went crazy. Obviously, Game 6 versus Boston is the one everyone talks about, where he came out and simply destroyed them. Obviously, 2016 Game 7 finals, defensively and offensively, two-way performance. Mm-hmm. Trying to narrow it down to one shot in the last 10 seconds is just pushing it into a direction that isn't actually, showing what clutch is in basketball.
See, that's the thing with LeBron. We always redefine that line of clutch.
You picked the line.
We had to.
It's an official stat. It's clutch time stats are an official thing. And yes, I have had trouble finding them. But even you moved the goalpost and picked a specific number, so it's just hypocritical to do that. I mean, it's just
redefine it for him because he doesn't meet the overall standard of Michael Jordan. So
not only are we inventing stats right now, but we're inventing stats for one person so he can be better than another person who played 30 years ago. This just isn't it. I thought we were going to get a better debate than last time, but it's just even more disappointing.
Pick a line. I can pick a line. So we can just go back and forth picking standards.
Do you think fans are cherry picking or haters are cherry picking stats
yes.
right now?
That's what they got to do. I mean, I respect the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do think people.
I respect a good hater at heart.
All right.
Do forget
you know what?
that
We're on a rough
a block in
two
clutch is
debate
still a
sample
clutch.
size.
Okay, before
All
I
right,
start,
let's
I
get
just wanna
better.
say it's getting like really hot in here.
Another outfit change.
It's so hot. Like you guys gotta put up the AC a little bit.
Okay, nah.
So
listen, regardless of what he says, I'm gonna be at least a little bit nicer because the shirt's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
all these people are talking and all this stuff. I want to let you talk a little bit. Like, what's your definition of clutch?
Clutch is making the right plays, leading to efficient offense when it matters most. When the game is on the line, making the plays that'll decide you get a victory.
So, like, my definition of clutch is being the best in the brightest moments. You think that's
okay?
You think
I
that's fair?
think that's a pretty
I think that's a little. I think I would ask more specificity on when the brightest moments are, but that's about the same.
I would say in the playoffs, finals. His 4-6 record.
Okay.
So, what about the Dallas Mavericks? Like, what do you think about that series?
Terrible. That's the biggest.
Finally, we are almost 30 minutes in and an hour and 30 minutes of recording, although off by 5 minutes on both. And someone finally mentioned the actual blemish on LeBron's career. Finally, I can't believe that we have been this far. It's been this long since someone mentioned LeBron playing poorly. Because in the 2011 finals, LeBron was just pitiful. I'm trying to find the game-by-game basis. Oh, I found it. There we go. All right, points. Starts off 24. 24 points, 20 points, 17, 8, 17, 21. That's just not good enough for LeBron's standards. Rebounds, 9, 8, 3, 9, 10, 4. Assists, 5, 4, 9, 7, 10, 6. Just not good enough. Not good enough for LeBron.
It's not going to career. Yeah, you got that. I think that's an actual terrible mark.
Yes.
And I won't pretend it's not. I just wouldn't pretend it's the end all be all. I wouldn't let somebody's career of any sort, any player, be defined by one bad week.
So you would,
unless it's a guy like Ben Simmons and it's gone all downhill since then. But I agree with that. A 20-year career isn't derailed, isn't viewed less upon because of a moment, because of a single series when LeBron has played in probably over 50 at this point. I'm going to assume it's over 50 series in his career.
say he wasn't clutch in that series.
He was not. He was not clutch in that
all
series.
knew woo.
He wasn't. In fact, whatever, if I can find the antonym for clutch, that would be an adequate representation of what LeBron was in that series. Without a doubt. LeBron was not clutch in that series. I'm not going to act as though, yeah, Mr. LeBron, can you tell me what being clutch is outside of 2011? Cool. No, LeBron wasn't clutch that series. I'm not going to lie and deny it.
Well, he's not clutch then.
If you only were alive for 2011, then sure.
Okay, so
I had the privilege of continuing to live after that. So
let's also talk about how we almost lost a rookie Jason Tatum.
How you almost lost.
Almost lost.
Yeah,
he didn't get postered by him.
Game 7 though.
But he won the
game.
game.
He won. Jason Tatum will average 14 points a game.
I thought the game was about to win. He won the game.
He won.
Yeah, against a rookie Jason Tatum.
He won, but you can't. No.
No.
You can't move the goalpost like that. If it's about winning and he did that, then okay, great. Dap up and move on. I mean, no, you can't.
I was just winning. Am I right?
Yeah.
Y'all are dangerously close.
Okay,
to
let's also talk about the Kyrie
that
shot.
Nonsense.
A game that he won?
Let's talk about the Kyrie shot.
The game that he won?
No, Kyrie won that game. Let's talk about Ray Allen.
Already
he won that game.
Already been over this.
So that's like
1v12.
So that's like 2 rings right there.
Kyrie's
They,
already
if they
been
didn't
over
make
this.
those shots,
I've already had my rant
You would have
about
2
this.
rings.
If
We wouldn't be here right now if Ray Allen and Kyrie ever didn't make
If
those
Kyrie
shots.
can beat the Golden State Warriors by himself, put him in the Hall of Fame today. You got it.
Oh, he's
a
definitely
goat.
Come on now,
He's the
Kyrie.
goat apparently.
Kyrie Hall of
Okay,
Fame.
let's talk about.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I guess so.
we'd have 2 rings without 2 shots. Let's also talk about
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma, how we passed him the ball during the bubble to make that.
Let's talk.
I never thought we would hear the words Kyle Kuzma in a LeBron James clutch debate.
Well, Kyle Kuzma is a sentence I did not expect to hear today. But go ahead.
Wow.
Tell me more about it.
But Kyle Kuzma made the last shot. I think it was in the bubble of playoffs. He made
Good
the
for
last
him.
shot.
Can you look me in the eye and tell me Kyle Kuzma is the reason they won the 2020 championship?
Kyle Kuzma is the reason why they
You're
won the
smiling your
2020
ass off.
championship.
Look at you grinning. Look at you grinning.
Yeah, so Michael Jordan's way more clutch. Let's talk about the Jazz. Okay, the timer's up. Never mind. But yeah, Michael Jordan's more clutch.
He
Lovely.
was doing well. The Kyle Kuzma threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I
Everything's
never.
going well.
All right, I'm a hater, but I wanted to show you some love. Hopefully, I could change your opinion. So I got you a gift.
Oh, let's
Bribery?
go.
Yeah.
Bribery?
Yeah.
Oh my,
Oh,
we're on the
shit.
same wavelength,
It's
dude.
Damn, I
LeBron.
hate this gift.
But also check the back. Check the back. It's a very important stat. 4 and 6.
I hate this gift even more.
Yeah. I would define a clutch player as like the most important series than playing good. Somehow, some way, Jordan went 6-0. Surprisingly, like LeBron has had 6 losses in the finals and only 4 wins.
Do you find it to be more impressive to lose in the first round or the second round or the third round than to lose in the finals?
Again, I thought we were talking about clutch player. You just said before that we don't
Do you
define
find
clutch
it
player.
more impressive to lose early in the playoffs or later?
I thought
It's a simple question. Is it more impressive to lose in the finals than to lose in the first round? It is unequivocally more impressive to lose in the finals because that means you are a top-tier team. In 2007, LeBron took the Cavaliers to the finals, and they lost to the Dynasty Spurs. In 2011, that was a bad series. That is one I will hold against LeBron. We're at 1. We'll do a tally type of thing. This hand will be finals that I don't hold against him, and this hand will be one that I do hold against him. So right now we're at 1-1. He lost another when he was on the Cavaliers. Or no, he lost another on the Spurs. I think that one could go either way. Because, sure, he didn't play up to his standards, but Dwayne Wade was hurt. And LeBron didn't even actually play that poorly. Just Dwayne Wade got hurt and was sort of on the decline of his career. And the Spurs were shooting so ridiculously great from the 3-point line. And just overall were playing so well. So I won't hold that against him. So right now we're at 2 that I won't hold against him. Or we're at 2 that I won't hold against him, really. Oh my goodness, my fingers are tweaking. And then the third, that would be the Cavaliers in 2015. his main teammates got hurt and took a very good Warriors team to 6 games. I won't hold that against him. And then losing back-to-back to the Warriors when they added Kevin Durant to an already stacked team, I'm not going to hold that against him. So right now, I, in my opinion, have five finals losses that I don't think are necessarily a true negative on LeBron's career. I'll give you 2011. But in my personal opinion, I will give LeBron credit for I'll give him credit for winning 4 and 5 for a great accomplishment getting there. He should have finished the deal in 2011. There's no reason that he shouldn't have lost. There's no reason he should have lost that one. So it's just, again, just answer the question.
Talking about clutch players, so let's stick to the topic.
So you don't have an answer.
All right,
Not
pivoting.
when it comes to what we were talking about. Do you want to talk about clutch players or something irrelevant?
Would you like me to get to my point?
You could try if it has to do with the prompt.
Would you find it more impressive to lose in the first round? Yes.
That
or no?
affects being clutch.
Okay, I didn't think so. Would you find it more impressive to go into a game series against the Pistons in Game 5 and shoot 8 shots and get shut down? Is that clutch?
No.
No, everybody has. Everybody has their lowlights. You can pick and choose which ones you want to talk about. If you find it less impressive because LeBron's lowlights came in the finals, whereas Jordan's came in the first or second round, and you want to say you should never lose on the brightest stage, well, I think you should get to the brightest stage. And how about that? You can pick and choose how much you want to decide somebody's lowlights are worse. In reality, everybody has them. You're not defined by them unless you're Joel Embiid. These guys both have highs, lows.
Nah, it's not, you don't diss on my boy Joel Embiid. He gets hurt in the playoffs every year. Diss on Ben Simmons. Philly would already do that anyway. But I think that I've never seen 2 players not so far removed, but who are not exactly. I haven't seen anything like the association with LeBron and Jordan to each other in sports. Like, it's not like a Mahomes and Brady in football because they actually played against each other. I don't think LeBron and Jordan even played each other, and their legacies are so intertwined with each other that it's just kind of flabbergasting in a way.
I won't pretend that his lows are worse because he happened to get further with less.
I'm not going to go and just start glorifying someone that lost in the finals. I define a clutch player.
But yet you glorify someone who lost earlier on in the playoffs.
When it comes down to the final series. Also, not to mention, LeBron has to go jump from team to team. He's a glorified Patrick McCaw.
We're not doing this. LeBron has delivered a championship to every single team he has been on. And aside from the Lakers, has had multiple bites at the apple. This is dumb. It just is. If I am a GM and I have to trade away picks and I can get a championship and I can get other chances at it, unequivocally, sign me up. I will give a blank check to whatever LeBron wants, and any other assets that he would need, I would be willing to let him handle it. This is ridiculous. This is blasphemous. This is not fair. And this is top-tier hating and top-tier rage baiting if I have ever seen it.
Jordan never left any team. Whatever team he went to, he stuck it out. And
he went to 2 teams, by the way. He went to the Wizards, so.
He won multiple championships, 6 championships. LeBron goes to a team, strips every asset away, and
gets
still doesn't win in the finals. I would hope
he's won a final with every single team he's been to.
If he created his own team, that he'd be able to make it to the finals.
He's made it to the finals every single.
Drafted to a competent organization that drafts a Scottie Pippen, goes and gets a Dennis Rodman, and makes it legit.
Has a
people want to play
team
with Jordan.
Around Jordan.
Do you think LeBron stayed for 2 years then left? No, he gave the Cleveland Cavaliers a chance.
He gave them
they
7.
So what happened in Miami?
He won 2 championships in Miami.
Why did he leave Miami?
Because Dwayne Wade's knees fell apart.
because Dwayne Wade's knees were messed up, and then I think, I could be wrong on the timeline here, but didn't Chris Bosh get like blood clots around that time? So yes, it is completely warranted. It is entirely warranted him leaving Miami. It is entirely warranted him leaving Cleveland. Both times.
Okay, so exactly. He left because he wanted a better team. He's just going to jump every time. He stripped the Lakers of every single asset. And guess what? He's just going to leave again because that's all he does.
I won't pretend it's noble to lose amongst poverty and play next to a bunch of crappy players. I won't pretend that gives him points because he's nice and brave about toughing it out. I don't really care.
All right, so we could just jump from team to team. I'll win every.
I'm keeping this. Don't pretend.
No. It's for the haters. It's for the haters, not for you. Right. He does destroy every team, but that sacrifice is a title. So
if I could win 2 championships and be mid for 5 years after, I'm taking that every year.
Next topic. LeBron James is responsible for the super team. Seems like a no-brainer to me.
No.
Let's go. Back to back.
How is he not? I mean, we just spoke about it before.
Want me to go first?
The 2008 Boston Celtics, the late 90s, maybe I think it was early 2000s Rockets, where they had Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley, and I think Scottie Pippen was on that team too. Yeah. Right off the bat, 2 teams right there. And then we'll look and say, I guess if you want to say super team outside of just drafting well, and that means going and trading for players and going and signing players in free agency, I would say the Lakers with Jerry West also did that because they went and picked up Wilt Chamberlain in free agency. So that's a 3rd team right there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before LeBron that is kind of on that way. I'd say the Heat, although they weren't really a super team, but they brought in Shaq. The Lakers, when they traded for Pau Gasol and built a really good team, that was before LeBron's decision, obviously. So right there, you have 5 teams that drastically improved in the span of an offseason, or in certain cases throughout the course of the season, and have won championships because of it. So how is this LeBron's fault?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'd love for you to.
Well, we pretend the Celtics didn't make a super team 2 years before he did. That's one reason. The real reason for the super team is because modern free agency promotes player movement. There's more talent today. You have to compile talent to win. Back in the day, there was obviously less talent, like I said, and the way the rules are made, you didn't often see stars come together like that. In the modern NBA, when it's harder and harder to win, it simply became a necessity. Just because he was on the front lines of that and was the second team to do it in this era doesn't mean he created it. He's not a GM, as most of the people want to say he is. He wasn't the GM of the Miami Heat, I'll tell you that for sure. You think Pat Riley was listening to him calling shots? No.
Yeah.
Look at this, like, smug face of just spewing nonsense. Because actually, you know how I know that he wasn't listening? Pat Riley wasn't listening to LeBron James? Because Pat Riley didn't fire Eric Spoelstra. Because LeBron James had wanted the Heat to fire Eric Spoelstra. And in fact, Eric Spoelstra is still with the team today and is widely regarded one of the best coaches in the league. So no.
Okay, well, that's not reality. But either way, it's just a symptom of the modern NBA and the new rules that were created and the new just reality of how you win a game. And he wasn't the first, like I said. The Celtics, the Lakers got 2 Hall of Famers at the peak of their prime. Teams had, again, not the peak of their prime, the peak of the Lakers' prime. Those Hall of Famers are washed, obviously. But, you know, it wasn't the first time we've seen lots of star names get put together.
You're talking about general managers making trades to go create teams. Kevin Garnett was traded to the Celtics. I think they just came together naturally.
They've openly talked about how they talk to each other. Paul Pierce has talked about how he had talked to Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. They're not even hiding it, dude. It's a simple Google search.
LeBron talks about recruiting players openly. He created the first ever super team, and what happened right after? Kevin Durant followed in suit. There's a lot of other superstars that are just following in suit for what LeBron started.
So the Celtics aren't a super team because they traded for Kevin Garnett and didn't sign him?
I don't know if they recruited the players. LeBron himself said that he recruited Chris.
They did end up being recruited, and also LeBron James signed with the Heat after Chris Bosh had already signed with the Heat, and Dwayne Wade had already, again, signed with the Heat and went back to the Heat.
Bosh, and he went and he spoke to Dwayne Wade. He said that he spoke to Dwayne Wade, and they all were like, "Let's go."
Players aren't allowed to talk to each other. Did LeBron invent the telephone? I mean,
Miami,
as free agents should. That has little bearing on if the Celtics were a super team or not. Just because that super team was traded for rather than signed.
Also, what about
entirely
multiple
irrelevant.
super teams?
I think I left my card at the restaurant.
What other super team is there? Would you consider that Cleveland team a super team? I guess no, because I mean they had traded Andrew Wiggins. And they had selected Anthony Bennett. They had Tristan Thompson playing significant minutes for them. I wouldn't consider that a super team.
The Lakers, he did the same thing multiple times.
No, the Lakers aren't a super team. Just what are we doing here? What are we doing here, dude? I'm trying so hard not to get riled up, but it's like I'm sick of seeing this group of haters just completely lie for no good reason.
It's not a coincidence that he's the first person to start.
No one's calling the Lakers
Are you telling me? Are you telling me that
literally
Paul Pierce called up Kevin Garnett and
this dude's a Lakers fan and is saying that they're not a super team?
Rondo, and they're like, well, let's all go to Boston and create a super team over there.
Yes,
isn't that the definition?
I don't have their phone logs, but I have a feeling that Paul Pierce was involved in recruiting Kevin Garnett. Yes, that's not a novel idea.
I don't think so. I think they just traded a bunch of assets.
Why?
LeBron invented communication? I don't think so.
I don't think
I think players talked before that.
I don't know if he invented it. I think LeBron perfected it.
Probably.
Draymond Green was crying in the parking lot calling up Kevin Durant.
Not only is LeBron James responsible for the super team, he is responsible for the detriment of the NBA when we talk about player mobility, right? You can talk about the Celtics and the Lakers, all of that. That stuff happened because GMs were bad at their job. What LeBron did,
sounds like a good move to me.
What LeBron did influenced everybody. He allowed Kevin Durant to feel free enough to be like, yeah, let me go to the Warriors. Not only does LeBron think of himself as the GOAT, he thinks of himself as a leader amongst men. He thinks of himself as the big dog in the NBA.
The king.
Exactly. The chosen one, right?
What's the relevance of LeBron's mentality? I mean, there's a whole mentality that was created by an NBA player. The Mamba mentality, guess who? That was created by Kobe Bryant. I mean,
he chose to go to Miami and show everybody, if I can do it, so can you. And now we have guys like Paul George thinking that he can jump from team to team and make super teams. LeBron James is making Paul George feel like he can do that. Every player in the league thinks that they can do it, and it all stems from LeBron James choosing to call Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and be like, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's do this. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to build, right? I don't want to do that. I want to go.
It was super clear that LeBron wasn't going to go back to the Cavaliers. And again, even more clear that Chris Bosh wasn't going back to the Raptors. So
from team to team, and as soon as I see that my buddy's knees are gone, I'm leaving you high and dry.
Few things. What I'm sensing is you just do not respect Paul George or Kevin Durant, and you wanted a mic to get that shit off your chest. And I respect.
I get it. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that I loved what Kevin Durant did. He made basketball a bit more boring for a few years. So I'm not going to deny that.
Go ahead. Let us know.
Top tier hating.
It's not about them, but you know.
Yeah, it is.
You know
okay.
me. You know.
Secondly, if you're telling me that LeBron's biggest influence on this world is that he made teams realize that they can make dope ass teams and be really good at basketball, am I supposed to take that as a negative? Oh, fucking no. Boo hoo. I think I'll live. And yeah, I just don't think that that's a negative. And there's one more thing you said that I wanted to respond to that was hilarious. Oh, you said he doesn't want to stay and build with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Are you under the impression
that team sucked for so long? I mean, it was unequivocally, I know I'm saying this a ton, it was just so clearly a bad team. So why should they be rewarded for ruining or not maximizing the potential of one of the greatest athletes that the game has seen?
impression that we need to be nicer to billionaires?
Oh, whoa.
Because Dan
Whoa there. We don't need to get Luigi Mangione involved here.
Gilbert tried. He gave him time, and eventually Dan Gilbert and his front office failed miserably. And he said, I show you no loyalty. I'm going to go to a place where my career will be prioritized and handled the right way. I'm personally not of the opinion that we need to be nicer to those guys. I think if they're incompetent and do a bad job at the teams they run, these players should say, go fuck yourself. I'm going to go build a good team.
Two things. One.
No. Should we be nicer to billionaires?
No.
Should we be nicer to
Two
billionaires?
things.
Sorry, pardon about the profanity, but
I don't defend Dan Gilbert for anything.
Oh.
And then two, just say you hate competition. Just say you hate that.
if anything,
right?
it breeds
The basis
competition. If anything, being better inspires others to try and take the crown away from people.
The NBA, the NBA was ruined for years because we knew coming into the season the Warriors were going to win. LeBron doesn't want that setup. He built super
The
teams.
clock
brilliantly.
rang. I'm not hearing it.
He gets his last sentence off. That's a little immoral.
Exactly.
It's unethical. He gets his last sentence off.
Exactly.
I don't have to hear it.
All right, fair enough, too. That's also fair.
Instead of inventing a super team, LeBron productized a super team.
Okay.
Do you remember the decision?
I do.
Do you remember that time?
I do.
Do you remember when he embarrassed himself on national television
Not
in
one,
front
not
of
two,
a
not
nice
three.
group of children at the Greenwich YMCA?
I do remember that.
Do you remember that?
Didn't he raise tons and tons of money for them? I mean, I'm being forced to defend LeBron as a person, and not even as a basketball player. This is how far we strayed just from the basketball conversation that we're going into who he is as a person. It is something that shouldn't be involved, really.
I remember when you brought a lot of money to that organization too that night.
Did he?
He did.
That's interesting. Were any of them Knicks fans in the crowd?
Right. LeBron came up with a decision for the future of his career simply because little Johnny in the front row was a Knicks fan. That is entirely why LeBron didn't sign with the Knicks. Right? Little Johnny looked at LeBron poorly when he was walking in and is like, actually, I was going to go to the Knicks, but no, I'm going to the Heat just so Johnny can't be happy. Like, that's stupid.
Do you think he broke any of their hearts?
I'm
Do you think
sure he did.
Had any consideration for who was sitting in the crowd that night?
No, I think
Is this just trauma dumping?
he's ruthless.
I think he is too. Great, you're making my point.
Yeah.
So I think he's about himself,
Mm.
and he needs people around him to make him better.
Oh,
and
no doubt.
Kind of elevate him. And so
No
if you
doubt.
saw, and I'm hoping they're showing right now, the presentation that they had after the decision when they decided to become a super team.
Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That was pretty embarrassing,
I mean,
right?
it was corny.
Bit cringe.
It was
Okay,
goofy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would
Didn't age
say,
well.
in addition to drawing like the media attention to himself and ruining those little kids' lives, right?
Dude, how soft are you? People's lives are ruined because LeBron James signed with the Heat. Dude.
He also decided to put himself on an own pedestal and present himself to the world, I would say. And so I don't think you can argue that he didn't not only just productize and make this thing a thing, but he also kind of put himself completely out there on the global stage.
Why not? I mean, if you are this brilliant athlete, why wouldn't you want to capitalize on it? I mean,
He might have made bad marketing a thing. He might have ruined.
did LeBron invent capitalism? I mean, so we've already got LeBron invented communication. LeBron has invented economics. Did LeBron invent a country next? I mean, what?
the perception of the star and how they market themselves and build their brand. You can have it. Nothing to do with the super team. So I respect the opinion. And if we're going to go with he hates Knicks children, specifically Knicks fans' children, I think we should all hate more Knicks fans' children. I think we should make this like a common theme that we find the closest Knicks fan
Whoa
child.
there.
And we
Whoa
tell
there.
them we hate them.
There's gonna be
And we tell them that their
kerfuffle.
sports fandom is worthless in this world. I think
Okay,
we need to
look.
be meaner to kids.
I'm happy to start the fire. Let's go.
Okay, good. So this is a great segment into what I really didn't like about the whole LeBron situation. I mean, if you're going to create a whole presentation about saying, you know, not 2, not 3, not 4, and we're going to get all the way up to, I think it was maybe 8, 7 or 8. And just to come up empty-handed after that is pretty embarrassing to me.
Empty-handed, he had 2 championships. I mean, that's still a pretty good yield. And I think that shows, if anything, that shows the greatness of LeBron, that we're disappointed in him getting 2 championships.
And in my opinion, if you're going to go up there and you're going to say those numbers, you know, you better damn well go up there and complete and get to whatever number you thought you were going to get to.
All right, so now we're at another thing. LeBron invented a hyperbole.
I have a lot of respect for people or players that will take a chance and either stay on a team and try and win with that team, or potentially go to a different team that is not stacked up or has all this superstar.
Then why would you bother leaving? If you live in, let's say you live in Orlando, right? And you're used to your lifestyle. You've been there for 7 years and the team's just completely average, right? And you are a great athlete. Why would you decide that you want to go to the Dallas Mavericks if they're horrible? If they're not a contending team, why would you uproot your family and do that? Like,
star talent, and if they go there and then win with that team. So a lot of the respect that I've had for LeBron definitely did come with the Cavaliers win, but again, that came with now restacking the roster. In a situation for that decision,
it was beneficial for the short-term and long-term future of the Cavaliers for LeBron to have left. It was beneficial for the short term because that way they could get flexibility and discover and build an identity of what they wanted to do for the future. But it was also better long-term because you got 3 number 1 overall picks. Just so happens that the Cavaliers weren't very great with how they used one of them and drafted Anthony Bennett. You got Kyrie Irving out of it, and you got Andrew Wiggins, and he became a pretty good player, but for the Timberwolves, because they traded him for Kevin Love. But
for that night when he went on camera, it was like, let's have a decision. It was a whole premiere. That's kind of just really ridiculous. My GOAT Jordan would probably never do that. And as a matter of fact, if he went up there and said he was going to win 8 times, he damn well was winning 8 times. And I don't.
This is just, we're getting into who LeBron is as a person, and we're getting into like personality types now.
I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. I think the biggest difference is that people feared Michael Jordan rather than they just kind of respect LeBron.
No, people
fear LeBron like that when you go up there.
People feel LeBron.
Just kind of brag that you automatically, before you even play a game, think that you guys are the best team. You're going to win, 5, 6 straight. I think is just unfair, and it's not good for the whole league in general.
Again, so LeBron just, oh my gosh. We're getting at LeBron invented a telephone, he invented communication, and he invented literary devices. And economics, right? Don't forget he invented economics.
And just to piggyback off of that, I think that it made more players feel like they can do that. And the biggest example is KD losing 3-1 and then going and joining the Warriors. The whole can't beat him, join him thing. Like, I feel like that really all stemmed from the fact that LeBron stacked up the team, thought that he could be unbeatable or they would be unbeatable. So that allowed other players to think that it's acceptable to kind of go there and do that.
The all-new Whoop is here.
Player empowerment and taking their careers and their lives into their own hands is bad. I don't understand this idea. I don't think it's a bad idea for players to have control of their lives.
And losing. It's just not anything that anybody should strive for. You can't, on one hand, tell me winning is everything. We should do whatever we can to win. And then be like, oh no, make it harder. Like, pick a side. Should they do everything to win, or should he be noble and be so brave about staying with a terrible team? Because if you want to prioritize winning and want him to be a winning player and all this stuff, him and Mo Williams were not walking through those doors with rings. It wasn't going to happen. He gave them plenty of time. He stayed there for 7 years, gave them plenty of chances to build a contender. And what's the best they did? Bring in a washed up Shaq. It wasn't working. You would have had way more criticism of him if he stayed there and just lost over and over again. You wouldn't have been like, oh, he's so brave. He's so for Cleveland. Good for him. You would have been like, this guy sucks. He's never going to win a championship. He has nothing on Jordan. And you said he did the whole spectacle thing. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Again, I'm not up here saying that he is the most humble NBA player of all time.
Although, it was just an introductory press conference. It's a very common thing to do.
Humility is not a measure of success for me right now. I don't care.
Yeah, but Jordan was way more humble than LeBron
that is.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan is so much more humble than LeBron. That might be the most blasphemous thing I've heard so far while recording this.
absolutely asinine. And Jordan is the least humble person I've ever
I
seen.
should say, okay, time out. Sorry. Let me just retract. In this state, what I mean by that is he's obviously is confident in his abilities.
Arrogant.
But
that's
which
what you
can
need.
Still make you humble. You don't have to be arrogant and also be confident.
No,
at the same time.
He is. Both these guys are the most arrogant people in the world. So
No. Michael Jordan is definitely arrogant. Michael Jordan and LeBron James are both, without a shadow of a doubt, arrogant.
We'll call that a draw.
I would say that Michael Jordan is. I would say Michael Jordan is just more confident in his abilities and he knows what he's going to do.
Okay.
LeBron, I think, could be more considered arrogant.
I would say he's a well-documented asshole, and I respect him for it.
Next topic. LeBron's 2020 Lakers championship should have an asterisk.
Oh, brother.
Let's go. He's back.
The Miami Heat in 2020 is the worst finals team of all time. What do you say about that?
I definitely think they were trash compared to most finals teams.
Yeah, the Heat were not a great team. I mean, they obviously, again, you can't hate on a team for who they played against. You can't bash on. Again, this goes back to the central narrative and idea that would it be better if he lost? Would you prefer LeBron James lose another finals? I mean, I don't understand why.
So
definitely trash.
I wouldn't say the worst of all time because there's a lot
been
of
some
years out
very
there. So I
bad
wouldn't make that
teams.
claim, but they weren't particularly strong.
So they had Jimmy Butler, who was what, a top 20 player, I would say, at the time.
Playoff Jimmy was insane.
Oh no, let's give him credit. He was playing
Come
like
on,
a top 10
20.
player.
He can't,
Jimmy
he
Butler
can't really
was
score. I
insane.
mean, he scored in the playoffs. He could defend a little bit. He can't really do anything much.
Couldn't do anything much. All right. Now we're going back. We are going back and we're looking up Jimmy Butler, baby. We're going to disprove that narrative too. I thought we were only going to get some LeBron James and have to use the stats for that, but no, we've got Jimmy Butler. All right, let's go 2020 Miami. He was averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals and half a block. Very, very, very good. And then, can we get to the playoffs? When we go to the playoffs, in the 2020 playoffs, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and half of a block. That is not a bad player. That's not a bad performance by any means. I mean, I don't know why we're bashing. Again, we do this instead of giving props and praise to someone who is deserving of it. We're using this as an opportunity to bash people.
Okay, he's a top 10 center, and out of that, was Tyler Hero even playing too?
He was.
Yeah, Tyler Hero's playing very well that series, and the Heat were actually pretty good whenever Goran Dragic was out there because he got injured and he wasn't able to play in the finals. And then they had Andre Iguodala on that team for leadership, which that's pretty good. Same thing with Udonis Haslem. They're both on that team for leadership. But that Heat team wasn't great, but they weren't a bad team. I mean, they made the finals and they were very competitive. I mean, they beat the Celtics. They beat the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken. But
That was like his strongest stretch of his career.
A top 100 player. Okay, so you have Anthony Davis, who's a top 10 player at the time.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James, who was I'll say a top 5 player at the time.
LeBron, I think, led the league in assists that year, too.
Yeah. You could say 1, 2, whatever.
Yeah, he's definitely top 5. Yeah.
Versus a top 20 player, a top 100 player, and a top 50 player. Yeah. So that was that championship should not count at all.
So because the competition's weak,
yeah, definitely.
I don't think this is the door you want to open.
Jordan had a verse.
I'll say that.
John Stockton, the top 5 point guard of all time. Karl Malone, the top 5 power forward of all time. Yeah.
All right. All right, now we're getting into me getting off a hot take here. John Stockton is not a top 5 point guard of all time. Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, Chris Paul. Yeah, that's at least 5. So, yeah. Yeah, didn't face. And then top 5 power forward, Giannis, Tim Duncan. If you want to put Kevin Durant as a power forward, you can. Dirk. Anthony Davis, I think, is a better power forward than him. Scottie Pippen didn't really play the power forward. Yeah. All right, he's around top 5.
He had to verse
Yes.
Gary Payton, the best, probably one of the best guard defenders ever.
Mhm.
Sean Kemp,
Who didn't
he
guard
had to
Jordan.
He had to verse these really good teams.
That
And
they
he
were.
versed
They were good
Jimmy
teams.
Butler, who's trash. I'm actually a bigger Jimmy
Jimmy Butler's not
Butler
trash.
hater than freaking LeBron.
That's apparent. That's apparent.
Why are we dissing on Jimmy Butler now? This is so.
He's never gonna win anything.
This is so
you just have to get it off
tangentially
your
related.
chest and go for it.
I'm not gonna lie. So LeBron had Anthony Davis top 10, LeBron James top 5 player.
Yeah.
How is that not an easy ring? How does that ring even count?
If your biggest point is that the 2020 ring deserves an asterisk because the championship was weak, because the team you played is
The
weak.
finals team was weak.
We can do this with so many people. This is not a door
Not
Jordan
really.
fans should want to go down.
I want you to name one. I want you to name another team.
Other teams who had weak finals appearances.
Yeah, definitely.
Jazz.
So many. There's
The
so many.
2007
he can't name one
Spurs.
though. He can't
The Spurs beat the shitty Cavaliers.
Yeah, the Spurs beat the shitty Cavaliers. The Nuggets beat the Heat too. I guess we're gonna say Jokic's ring doesn't count.
The Nuggets suck.
No,
The
the Nuggets beat the Heat.
Okay, that bad Cavaliers team's best players are LeBron, but outside of it, I'll give you a few seconds to think of one person. Zydrunas Ilgauskas was the number 2 option on that team.
No, but this is me. I'm not involved. I'm not involved. I mean, that was an absolutely ridiculous stance.
All right, cool.
That
Every
was
championship that's ever been won has been impressive.
Correct.
Right?
Some
Including the bubble.
Okay,
Right?
all right.
But the bubble.
I'm glad that we have someone with common sense up. I will say he is the best debater so far. I mean, he's given actual valid reasoning and points. So I'm looking forward to this one a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Was probably to me the least impressive out of every championship that's ever been won. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, and I've seen NBA players come on podcasts and talk about how the bubble was probably the hardest championship
Because the
because
mental-
all the environment that they were in or whatever. That sounds like some rich people like champagne problem shit. You know what I mean? They were in a Disney hotel and maybe didn't have the best meals or maybe didn't have this, that, or whatever. They were all chilling. They didn't have nothing to worry about outside of going to practice and playing PS5, Xbox in their room. That's it. That's all they had to do. They were all able to just lock in on basketball, which should make their job really, really easy. Now, because a lot of these guys are not as focused as a seasoned guy like LeBron James, these guys were, while it might have been the ideal scenario for LeBron James to be able to lock in, a lot of these guys didn't have that. They were all worried about Lou Will was out getting wings and women, you know what I mean, in Atlanta during the bubble. And then not to mention everybody else across the league, if that's just one example, everybody else was in there not unfocused, if we're being real, because it was that much harder to be able to lock in on what really mattered, which is basketball. LeBron James had the opportunity to be able to lock in the way that he did because he is LeBron James. He's able to do that, but nobody else was able to do that. So he had a cakewalk to the finals. And getting there and going up against a lowly team like Jimmy Butler, who we hate. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, but being able and going up against them, it was by far the least impressive NBA title.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get there, but once he was there, bro, it was a layup. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear NBA players complain about like the conditions that they had to play in and blah, 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 blah. Yo, there are real people out there who went through a lot worse. You guys were playing basketball in Disney World. Cut it out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, you said LeBron was able to deal with that because he's LeBron and other people aren't like that.
Yeah.
You brush that aside like it's just like, yeah, he's LeBron, like it's not impressive.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he's him.
He was
He's
36 when this happened.
There's some old motherfuckers on all those teams who collapsed.
Yeah, I know, but they're not the star player. LeBron James is able to set the tone for his team.
Right. Again, sorry about the profanity, but overall, this is probably one of the better debates that we've had.
Which I feel like I'm giving him credit for, and like I know
you are.
No, and that's okay though. That's
okay.
My
point.
No, that's okay. I'm giving him credit for that, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it was like the most impressive thing that he's ever done.
I didn't say it was 2016, but he's built.
No. I think no championship deserves an asterisk because getting to a championship and staying healthy, staying focused, and overall still being able to compete against inevitably when the competition gets tougher and tougher. I think that's, tough, obviously. And the Heat were a good team. They weren't an amazing finals team, but they were a pretty good team. And I think that it shouldn't have an asterisk, I guess. Not very, I know I'm not going very in depth on it, but
But that's the thing. That tough environment that you're talking about, like, oh, imagine locking in a fucking gym, going head to head with somebody. Yeah,
Sorry about the profanity.
bro, it's called practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone locks in the gym. We was watching Lil Wayne taking phantom puffs on the blunt from his crib. Nobody was in there watching the game. They were playing practice with
Are
one
you
another.
familiar with my sweet prince, Dom Toretto?
Of course.
Is he gonna talk about how I don't think family were allowed in the bubble and that it was just you and your teammates?
Yeah.
They couldn't see their family. Are you gonna look me in the eye? Are you gonna look in this camera and are you gonna tell the people that LeBron James' family doesn't matter?
LeBron James' family does matter. Happy birthday, Zuri. But what I will
Does
say,
Kawhi Leonard's family matter?
I don't know. He needs to get on the court. But last thing I'm gonna say is, like, you are lying to everyone in this room if you think that LeBron James accommodations were the same as everybody else.
Oh, of course
miss me
not.
with that shit.
Of course not. Of course not. No, LeBron 100% got
his hotel was very nice.
treatment. 100%.
I don't want to talk about mental fortitude, toughness, or family.
Oh no, we're not doing this. No. Oh, is he the next one up in this one?
LeBron having a losing record in the finals.
If he
does
goes up, I'm not watching
affect his legacy.
Well, I already told you this once.
All right. When's the next debate?
Everybody owes a lot to all their teammates. I think it is a quintessential Jordan fan thing to act like that's a downside. When in reality, it's the whole system. It's a team-based game. To pretend otherwise is to not live in reality. And I don't want any rational fan should realize that nobody does it alone.
I don't
and
want
to even entertain the argument as if
stupidity.
We should pretend that LeBron did it alone is just missing the forest for the trees.
All right, so let's revisit those two super important plays.
With or without the
right?
PEDs.
Yeah, well, I got to quote something.
Okay.
I want you to tell me what you see in common in those two shots on the play call. You ready? So for the Ray Allen 3, rebound Bosch, back to Allen, his 3-pointer, bang. Okay?
Great
Second
call.
one.
Okay.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. What are you seeing common in those two calls?
There's no way that we are using commentating to push agendas about who players are.
Mike Breen?
Yes, but they don't have your GOAT's name in it.
Oh, that's a good
How
one.
does that affect his legacy?
Does Mike Breen
He's
hate
not
LeBron?
in the two.
Again, why are we using the commentary calls as a force to propel, or I guess subtract from someone's 20-year career and to negatively affect his legacy? I don't want to have to do a double skip on this, but I'm not. No. Is there someone else talking on this? Nope, we're going to the next. LeBron James is the GOAT. Okay.
Okay, last topic.
I'm not.
LeBron is the GOAT.
Okay.
Men lie. Women lie. Numbers don't.
Bars.
Michael Jordan has a better PER than LeBron James. He has a higher offensive and defensive box plus minus.
Okay,
so that is based on when he's on the court compared to the rest of the team. But that does not include when he's off the court, what happens.
He has a better win share per 48.
Okay.
So Michael Jordan is more efficient, better at offense,
not how that
better
works.
at defense, and contributes to winning more. So how would he be better? Tell me.
Well, I don't know how many of those are true. I didn't write down a bunch of numbers for this.
It's true. Trust me, it's true.
Okay.
He's not more efficient.
Assuming
True shooting
this is
percentage
true.
for all their prime years. LeBron's better.
I'll give that to you.
Yeah.
Leading teams to higher offensive ratings or on-off numbers. If you want to get in the nerdy numbers game, this is not a game you want to go down.
I did.
LeBron has a higher on-off number of how he impacts offense and defense. His on-off swing is higher.
All right, again, this is what's more important when he's on the court versus when he's not. He is better when he is on the court compared to when he is off. Well, obviously. But LeBron, whenever he is on the court versus when he's off, the Cavaliers are losing at a larger degree than the Bulls were.
Higher than Jordan's. I don't know about their team offensive ratings year by year. I didn't look for that.
Although that is different.
I think I don't know if that's true. Are you looking at career offensive box plus minus and defensive?
I'm looking at career everything. I'm
That's your problem. You're looking at career. If you look at their prime years, which is what everyone gauges whenever they're talking about the peak of people's, LeBrons are typically better. So if you look at all the relevant years only, LeBrons are better. We on the stats, LeBron leads in far more advanced stats than Jordan does. Obviously, all the playmaking stats, a lot of defensive impact stats, he leads.
I haven't heard anything about the value over replacement. I haven't heard anything about VORPing, dude.
Obviously, Jordan is great too. He has his steals and stuff, and that's what contributes to a defensive box plus minus. Yeah. But how you really gauge a good defender with modern analytics is looking at their team defensive ratings on and off the court. And LeBron has good ones. Obviously.
Okay, all I heard was blah blah blah. Okay, so let me talk to you like a fifth grader now.
He gave you the argument as to why he feels as though he's the GOAT, and you just say it's a bunch of yapping. Okay. Again, you're only getting by because you have the funny shirt on. Other than that,
he has more championships. He's 6-0.
Okay.
LeBron's 4-6.
We've
right?
been through this again.
He has a defensive player of the year. I don't know how many does LeBron have? Just
zero. Shout out Marc Gasol.
Oh, 0. Okay, shout out Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol.
How many defensive
first teams?
all defensive? Yeah, how many?
I don't remember. He has.
I think Jordan has more though.
He probably does.
So he's a better defender, you would say.
Nope.
How is he not a better defender if he has a
versatility and switchability?
Let's talk about this. Is a fun one. Let's talk about the merits of defensive NBA award voting over the years.
Okay. Let's bring up the Marc Gasol thing. Let's bring it up again.
Fuck Marc Gasol.
Let's talk about it again. We get it. Okay, second team. Okay, we got it.
In the 1990s, do you know who voted for NBA defensive awards?
No idea.
Journalists.
Okay.
Do you know how many journalists had access to watching 82 games a year of all
None.
all 30 teams?
They couldn't.
Probably
0. Wow.
They couldn't.
Defensive voting back then was just who had more steals, who had more blocks. Kobe Bryant got like 8 all defensive teams in the latter half of his career when he wasn't defending a fucking thing. For historically, defensive award voting has been
sorry about the profanity
until the last 6 years. So good. Jordan was a great defender for his time. If LeBron was back there, he would have had 13 in a row because they would have been like, ooh, big guy block shot.
Yeah. So you're saying like
Dude.
voting. Oh, sorry.
Wrap it up.
I'm saying 1990s journalists were not watching Utah Jazz games. I'll tell you that.
So
Tweet length response.
All I heard is you don't trust voting for the NBA, which, okay, that's your opinion. And then let's just end it off with a bang. Michael Jordan is a better scorer. He's better at offense. He's better at defense. That's it.
I'm a person of many words.
Okay.
I only have a handful for you. It's about the rings.
That's 3 of them.
Thank you.
4 rings, actually.
You know how many Jordan has?
More than that.
6.
Quick math.
Yeah, exactly. And how many does your GOAT have?
That many. Less than 6. Woo!
Subtraction. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. I'll leave it on this. How is your GOAT going to get claps and clamped up by Herb Jones, first team all defense? Thank you.
Wow.
All right. I'm going to speak my truth real quick.
Herb Jones has literally never played when he hasn't played LeBron in the finals. Are we talking about individual plays? Okay, sure, Herb Jones is a great defender, but I don't think, again, we've done this so many times. I don't think one player, especially Herb Jones, who isn't super tied with LeBron, should be involved in a LeBron GOAT conversation. There's so many avenues in which you can go down. If you want to go overall GOAT of basketball, you can go talk about Kareem's accomplishments. You can talk about Kareem basically completing basketball in the college, high school, and NBA level. If you want to talk about building up the game globally, you can talk about Jordan, Magic, and Bird. And yet we're talking about Herb Jones?
Quick, and then you can have the table. Here's the thing. I'm going to quote a top point guard, okay? John Stockton sums up how I feel about LeBron.
Man, I don't care what John Stockton has to say. I don't care. If you base your view on who the GOAT is, instead of doing your research, instead of watching or whatever, and you get it from a quote from John Stockton, which, listen, John Stockton has said some interesting things. This is probably one of them because, I don't know what she's about to say, but it's going to be something goofy.
You're not climbing the mountain. You're taking a helicopter to the top. And that is how I feel about LeBron James, okay? I'm going to tell you why he's not the GOAT.
Okay. Citing John Stockton is crazy of all people. Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, top 5 point guard of all time.
Noted non-truth teller. But neither here nor there.
We've been over this already. John Stockton is not a top 5 point guard. Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Magic, and Oscar Robertson. 5 right there.
Okay. Anyone who has to tell the media they're the GOAT, not the GOAT.
Ooh.
You find a clip of Michael Jordan saying he's the GOAT to the media, I'm all ears, but you won't find it because it's not out there.
Nike did it for him.
Another one.
I'm sure I can find that clip. Yeah, he already said Nike did it for him. It was a part of the promotional thing. So,
a dude that does this, crowning himself in a camera multiple times.
Aura.
That's the opposite of aura. That's a cringe. That's an ick. Ask anyone.
We are talking about LeBron James crowning himself as to why he can't be the GOAT and saying that gives you the ick. Why are we talking? Again, I thought this was a basketball video, and it is. But so many of the takes here have been directed at who LeBron is personally, what he does. I don't care. If is doing this to yourself kind of goofy, sure. But I'm not going to use that as the reason why I would view him as the GOAT, or if I don't. I wouldn't use that in the argument. I wouldn't involve John Stockton, who has nothing to do with this, and talking about how getting dropped off at the top of a mountain. I don't think that's at all related. And I'm trying to think about what else was said. Oh, thinking that you're the GOAT. You're telling me Michael Jordan didn't think he's the GOAT? Obviously he does and always will. To get to this level, you have to be so arrogant and your ego has to be so high that you have to convince yourself that you can do things that aren't possible. This is just we're getting back to getting riled up because I mean I wanted to hear actual. Again, she has a sheet of facts in front of her. Why is she talking about LeBron giving her the ick?
Woman out there. But then
would you want to date LeBron?
LeBron.
Yeah, that's my facial expression exactly. I didn't ask if you wanted to date LeBron. I asked if you thought he was or I didn't ask you anything. But the question was, and you have to dispute if you think LeBron's the GOAT, not if you think LeBron James is your type.
LeBron's most famous thing he ever done actually doesn't have to do with basketball. It's just a quote saying, "Cleveland, this is for you." That's what people think.
People think of LeBron saying Cleveland for you. Okay, Cleveland, this is for you. After he won them the first championship in 50 years. What are we
think of when they think of LeBron?
Okay.
2 of LeBron's 4 rings happened in short NBA seasons.
Okay.
A lockout,
a valid take.
So you only have really 2 legit ones, right? So let me tell you now why Michael Jordan is the real GOAT.
Let's hear why.
Michael Jordan eliminated 20 Hall of Famers. Meanwhile, you have LeBron playing with 26. MJ faced 7 of the top 10 all-time.
Okay, that's disingenuous, though, saying that LeBron has 26 Hall of Fame teammates. I don't think 38-year-old Shaq is a Hall of Famer when he played with LeBron. And I'm trying to think about who else could be considered a Hall of Famer, because I'm assuming whenever they got up there in age, I mean, I guess Dwight Howard on the Lakers, but again, he was older and wasn't in his prime during that. So right there, you have two Hall of Famers that are out of their prime. That is such a cherry-picked stat.
Scores. 9 of the top 10 shot blockers. 7 of the top 10.
Again, all of these numbers do not take in when they played.
All-time assist leader. 8 of the top 10 all-time steals leader, right? So for anyone who's like the 90s wasn't good basketball, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
he also prevented many.
I think, yeah, the 90s was good basketball. I mean, it was the most competitive basketball that we had seen up to that point. Players were becoming more skilled and everyone was more developed, and basketball was growing as a global game thanks in part to Michael Jordan. So I don't think acting like the
Many
90s
NBA
is
legends from
a acting like the 90s sucks isn't a fair take. And I will go after the LeBron fan on this one. I will go. I'm just calling it how I see it.
winning a ring, opposed to LeBron, who Steph Curry and the Spurs won during his time.
We've been over this already. Steph Curry won 2 rings because Kevin Durant joined his team, right? And that's not, obviously, that Cavaliers team in 2018 was booty. It was horrible. It was atrocious. The 2017 Cavs were better than that team in 2016, and they lost because it just so happened the team they beat in the previous finals added maybe one of the best players in the history of the game. That would be the same thing again. I know I've probably already said this, as the Jazz adding Charles Barkley to their roster. It wouldn't be fair, and shocker, if you are one of the best players and you go up against guys who are so much better with overall talent compared to your team, you're going to lose even if you are a better player. And the Spurs, okay, they won a ring in 2007 whenever LeBron's team was just absolutely horrible. I know I joked about the 2018 Cavs being bad. If the 2018 Cavs are bad, then I don't know what you call the 2007 Cavs. They might need to create their own adjective for truly how pitiful of a team they were. What are we doing here?
And then Michael Jordan is the only player to win a regular season MVP, NBA Finals MVP, first team All-NBA, first team All-Defense, scoring title, lead the playoffs in scoring. No one else has done that. Michael Jordan's done it 4 times. 4 times. And
there we go. We're so far into the take, and you give an actual reason that isn't from John Stockton, or if you think LeBron is hot, or whatever. We actually get a good reason, and we are almost done with your segment.
And we could go through the other stats, the ones, everyone knows, which is 6-0.
This is a great Wikipedia article, by the way.
Here's the last thing I'm going to say. In 13 full seasons, which Michael Jordan played, he has 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs.
Prime Day is coming July 8th.
I already know something nasty is about to be spewed. I already know that it's going to be just something that's so mind-bogglingly stupid that I'm going to end up looking flabbergasted. Yeah, I'm just mentally preparing myself for what I am about to hear.
League MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 1 defensive player of the year, 9 all-defensive first teams. And if you put KD and LeBron's careers combined, this is what you get in 38 seasons. 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs, 5 league MVPs, 5 scoring titles, 0 defensive players of the year, 5 all defensive first teams, and 7 teams played for.
First off, why are we including Kevin Durant in this? And second, again, I think this entire video and what we have and what has been said is the argument for LeBron being the GOAT is based on context, not pure numbers. Because I can give you a number right now. That won't change anything. LeBron's the only player with 40,000 points, 11,000 rebounds, and 11,000 assists, and he's top 10 all-time and will end up being top 5 all-time in three-point shots. That doesn't make a GOAT argument. You can't simply state numbers from Wikipedia and say, boom, give analysis, give a breakdown. Why was Michael Jordan a better player for his era compared to the rest of everyone in that era than LeBron James was in his? Because again, this is a large gap between their primes. That is a 20-year gap between them playing and being at the top of their game. I don't even know if it's necessarily comparable, but if you look strictly based off of the numbers and you look on the eye test, the analytics, what other players have said, it's a 50-50 split. It is a very, very thin margin between, and to act as though LeBron isn't anywhere near Michael Jordan is just false.
That was a wonderfully well-researched essay. Which part do you want to respond to? Because that was 1,000 things.
Numbers don't lie. I mean, I'm just going based off stats, and that's all you really need for this argument.
So the cumulative.
No. Oh my gosh, you don't need just stats for a GOAT argument. You don't. You need more than that. Look at what rule changes have happened. Look at what was going on in the era, what the meta was, how teams were built, cap situations. What if there were any foreign-born players to see if that impacts any other different style of play, if that impacts the growth of the game. I mean, this idea that you can go on ESPN, look up Michael Jordan for 5 minutes, boom, that dictates 20 years of basketball. No.
Cumulative stat thing is irrelevant because, of course, he went against people that are high on the list because their careers are over. Many of the people that LeBron has gone against are still going. These people are going to be up there eventually, but their careers are still going on. So that irrelevant. Other people won during LeBron's career. Great. Do you think if Jordan didn't retire, he'd win 8 straight?
I think he got bored, so he retired.
First off, what a cop-out answer. And second, no, Michael Jordan would not have won 8 straight. Because, in fact, he came back. He wasn't gone for 2 full years. He was gone for 1.5. He came back, was able to ramp up and get ready for the playoffs, and he got destroyed in them. And then he won 3 straight titles. But this whole video is strictly based around comparing LeBron to Jordan instead of actually acknowledging who LeBron is as a player. The only analysis or breakdown as to why LeBron is good is from the LeBron fan, and I haven't, and only maybe a 10 minutes or so has been actual constructive and good analysis as to why LeBron is bad, and most of that is based on 2011, which again, 1 year, 1 series doesn't dictate a 20-plus year career.
Do you think we would have won 8 straight?
Yeah.
Great. I don't.
No. He unequivocally wouldn't have won 8 straight.
I think anybody's winning 8 straight championships. So congrats, he was able to go take a break. We pretend he didn't play in 1995 for some reason.
He did. He played in 95.
I guess neither here nor there that he lost in the playoffs to, at the peak of his powers, to Shaq and Penny. So Hakeem won on his watch, apparently, for doing that. Shout out Hakeem Olajuwon for being
Hakeem won twice on his watch. Yeah.
The only guy to win on Michael Jordan's watch. You can do this game forever.
No. Bird won on his watch. I think Magic won on his. I know Magic won on his watch. And then I don't think the Sixers won theirs before Jordan was drafted, but I know that the Sixers were still competitive around that era. And then if we're looking later on, I know, again, Kobe won on his watch. So if we're going to blame everything on LeBron and we're going to be unfair, keep it the same way with Michael Jordan.
It's all contextual. If you want to spout, the accolades and stats written down without any context, you can do that. But if you want to apply a little bit of logic to it, we can understand that the best team wins an NBA championship. Jordan was on the best team because he was part of it. That's true. But also, he was in the right team environment that LeBron was never gifted with early in his career. He never got to be with a good GM that could do his job, so he had to go out and do that. If he was on a team that drafted another Hall of Famer who was 3rd in MVP without Jordan, then I think LeBron would have had a pretty good chance of winning at home too. But he was never gifted that opportunity because he was drafted to an incompetent organization. So I would not pretend it's embarrassing to change teams when that's what the league requires of you to win. Because as you say, he should prioritize winning like the real winner from the 90s did.
Who is that number that LeBron wears?
We're not doing this now. We're not.
Who is it? Oh, his number?
How are you going to call that man the GOAT who looks up to the real one?
Listen,
that was based on who came first. Are you going to say a chicken looks up to an egg? Or I guess the other way around, depending on how you want to view it. But no, it's stupid.
Anybody smart respects their elders and understands where they came from. To think that you can't respect who came before you doesn't mean you can't pass them up.
All I'm saying is if you watched Michael Jordan and LeBron James, you come out of there saying Michael Jordan's the GOAT.
You got to play a lot of defense, right?
No, we're not doing this. No. No, I'm not watching. We'll go to whenever Isaac talks.
Vote is because two people decided to vote Marc Gasol. Then I guess you got it. I guess that's the blemish on his career. He never won DPOI. Sorry, he was second. Still first team all defense. Still the best player at his position defensively in the entire NBA. Somebody just decided they want to go for a center more because center is more impactful, which they should have did in the 90s too. But people were less smart back then, had less years of discourse to realize that, centers impact defense more. People didn't know at the time, but over time, people understood more about the game. And now that's why you see bigs win. If Jordan played today, he wouldn't be racking up DPOIs. I'm sorry. That's just clear reality. Outside of that, you mentioned that he wasn't favored to win. It's a blemish against LeBron. Vegas saw LeBron and was like, I don't think you got it. He happened to go against the single most successful regular season team of all time. If any other team went against that team, they probably wouldn't be favored either. So I'm not going to pretend that it's a negative that he won as underdog. If anything, I think that's a positive because he was able to win when his team was simply inferior, as the best players should do. And that's the time.
He also wasn't favored against Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, who were both under the age of 25, right?
That Thunder team was good. I'm not going to...
because they felt that the Thunder team was better. So although he did prevail, he wasn't favored, which means he wasn't really the best player offensively and defensively, and they didn't think that he was able...
That's not how betting works. Again, so we've looked. LeBron has developed economics, grammar, the telephone, communication, and now sports betting
to bring his team to that height.
Or because they recognized that it was a team that came off a finals loss and was still gelling together, because it's contrary to popular belief, you sign stars, you don't immediately become a great team. Plenty of super teams have failed. They had to prove it, and they did.
And another thing, when you talk about offensive and defensive players, it's not just about the vote. When you look back at these careers, let's look at 1998. That's a play where Jordan makes the steal, and then he goes down and makes a shot. When we talked about LeBron moment, he made the defensive play, but on the offensive end, he came up short.
All right, so
he only had 40 points that game. Oh, no.
That's it. That does it for the debate portion. Clap it up. Clap it up.
That
Isaac, how do you think
was
you did?
As best as I could, getting jumped, I guess.
What was your strategy? Not a lot of offense being played.
How could I?
Who do you think was the most convincing?
The most convincing?
Who put up
the Jimmy Butler guy, the one who hated Jimmy Butler. How could I?
In my opinion, it's the guy who was wearing, I think that's a Jets hat. I think he was the one who
haters,
the best argument.
If any of you were convinced enough to become a fan, now is the time to please.
No one's going to raise their hand. It's because
Jimmy.
Hell no.
All right, that'll do it for the first episode of 1 vs. 10. Please let us know what topic you want to see debated next.
I think it should be Jimmy Butler.
You got to get back to the drawing board.
All right. Well, I would say that this was fun, but a lot of the discourse here was kind of goofy and whatever. But that will be all from me. This is by far the longest video that I've recorded and maybe ever will. We'll just see if I want to keep doing this. But yeah, this is the Scoop with Coop. I'm, of course, Coop. And until next time.